Okay, so, more live,
You guys that are here, can you guys sign in?
I'm gonna start admitting people who are there, because you're right, they are waiting. Sonia is here and, okay. Nicole and Melanie. Okay, Melanie, there you are.
And then I need posting.
Okay.
Presenter rights.
Okay, movie here, okay. Allowed to record, allowed to multi-pin and remove report, make a co-host, make host. Okay, I'm making you the host, yes?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Sorry, you know what? I used to think I was really good in tech, but I can't keep up with all this stuff. It's like, oh my gosh. Okay.
No worries. I mean, we're still not.
Are you good? Okay,
It says that I'm the host. I'm gonna share my screen.
Okay.
And start to admit people.
okay.
The sign-in sheet.
It's in the black, there's a black bag. Oh, it's working on on mine. It's working on yours? Excellent.
To make this shadow on the TV, do you need to do anything special? Like you on the menu or something?
No, as long as it's set up, I can do.
You need Wi-Fi though? You need Wi-Fi? You don't need Wi-Fi?
I think you do need Wi-Fi. Yeah,
that
it
be
should,
set
it
up.
should go.
So I can-
Okay.
As long as the Apple TV shows up, then I'm good to go.
Are you just casting off your screen
Yes.
onto the TV?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we shouldn't need Wi-Fi for that. That should work off of it.
Training
okay.
room, Apple
Yeah, I
TV.
have no idea.
I need what room.
So just so y'all know, we had a TV and the both feet on its pop this morning, so we had to run out and get a new one, and this is why it's taking us setup time. We would have been all ready otherwise. It was a
Okay, can you guys hear now?
Everybody doing okay today? This class is going to be very, very exciting. It's going to be extremely beneficial to your bottom line as you meander the real estate field. I was running a little bit late today because I actually was just on a call doing a 203K, and I forgot to count the windows. I go back and do the windows and put windows on eliminate, that sort of thing. So a little bit of background.
Yeah, I'm just getting rid of it.
Everybody in the room done a 203K before? Okay, we got 1, 2. Only 2 people? Okay, cool. I got you guys beat. I've done about 80.
Okay, is that better? No echo? Yeah, make sure everybody's good online.
Okay. So I'm just going to introduce myself as we go. My name is Dan Morgan. I am a home inspector. I'm a journeyman carpenter. I'm a general contractor in addition to 203K park install. What does that mean to you? I'm also certified by the state of Illinois to bring you continuing ed as it relates to 203K. I love doing 203K. It's a very, very interesting product. And I'm not only a 203K consultant, I'm a client as well. My house is currently under construction. I had a 2-story house. I took the attic off in its entirety. I moved my rear walls out 10 feet. And then I put another roof on. I went from a hip roof to a lofted gable. And some of these terms you may not know what they mean. But anyway, my granddaughter loves it. So, it's a very, very interesting project. And the reason why I did it, I get bored as a carpenter. And the second reason why I did it, I wanted to go through the 203K process as a client to help with my bedside manner, for lack of a better term, to understand how it feels for a client actually going to a 203K. I can be sometimes, you know, like a doctor's like the baby's crying, you still get the baby the shot. Take it easy with the baby, you know? So I'm learning to be a little bit more kinder and gentler, as it were. That's very, very important. For me as a general contractor, my project is stressful as the dickens. I've been living with raccoons and possums and birds flying in, eating the leftover crackers from the guy doing the electricity who like staying up behind himself. It can get a little bit harrowing, but at the end of the day, we're in a good situation. And Earl was actually my lender for that. So kind of give Earl a hand. And I've known Earl, matter of fact, the second 203K I've done since I've been in the business, and most of them, me and Earl doing together. And I like the relationship that we have because we can kind of know what each other's thinking at times. So without further ado, I'm going to ask everybody to take 15 to 30 seconds to introduce themselves because one, I don't know about you guys, I've been pent up with the COVID. And this is the second time I've had a suit on in a year. So thank the Lord for that. And it feels real, real good that we're getting back to normalcy. And so you guys just in a nick of time for the 203K season. So I'm gonna start right here and get just a quick introduction of yourself.
I'm Angela Joyner Jones, a realtor.
Okay.
In I don't know what I call it, Western Springs, the Western Springs office.
Okay.
Realty. Just kind of new to the business. Learning it as it goes.
Great. Right.
My name is Becky Weaver. I am a Wheaton
I've been in the business for 50 years. This is my 50th year in the campus. So it's the Northwest Cook and Northeast DuPage for the most part.
All right, Jan.
Arthur Jordan, I've been in business for 15 years in all DuPage County.
Gotcha. All right, Mark.
Williams, been in this for 5 years. We're everywhere. Teams are all over.
Gotcha.
I would add in Maryville is one of the biggest top producing agents up in this.
And she's back there being shy. Go, Maryville.
Millions on top of millions.
I gotta keep up with Shy over there.
I love me some Maryville. Okay. Yeah.
I'm America Press. I am on Rehab team.
Oh, wow.
I'm fairly new to the business, so very excited just to be here.
Maryville's got your back. So we can do it. All right. Young lady, right? Yes.
Jessica, Keller Williams, been in business 6 years. I have a team as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I keep up with this.
Oh, these teams. You guys want to get together and get a softball league or something?
Thank you, Austin, Fathom Realty. It's 2 years now. It's my second year.
You been enjoying it? Cool. Give it up for her.
Sheena King Lynch, I've been in the business for about a year. With Fathom Realty as well.
All right, next one. Will, no, man, right here. Okay. Yes, I now.
Tommy, former mortgage broker, been a realtor for 4 years.
This guy right here keeps me focused right there. Tommy, he's a fairly, he's also a voiceover expert. Do some stuff for us. Do my king for us.
How you doing? Venus Reed, work with FJ Realty, work in the city, and been in business for 8 years.
Dean's claim to fame. His daughter is getting ready to buy her first property, and we were looking at a 40-unit yesterday, as a matter of fact, and I think she's going to be great. I gave her a little lecture on being a student of the business. I think we got a great team building up. So we're up to Dean.
I am Amanda Strickland. I've been in this about 2 years as well. And I just came to Anthem from Keller.
Okay.
Sammy Perez, I'm with Fathom Realty, out of Aurora, but I'm based out of Chicago. I've been in the business for about 1 year.
Okay. Great.
Thank you.
Scott.
I'm also kind of,
Become one.
mortgage loan.
Gotcha. What company are you? What company?
Probably loan Devin.
Okay. Cool. All right.
I'm Angelique. I have been in real estate for 2 years. Actually, I've known it for a long time. My father had his own real estate company. So I'm not really new to the business, but new as a licensed person. And I left Keller Williams and I'm with Keller.
Okay.
I'm Melanie Miller. I'm with Compass. I actually got into real estate as an investor. And now I'm a licensed agent and have been for the last 2 years. And yeah.
Cool. So I'm right here.
Derek, right here, great, Brownsville office, in business for over 10 years, conventional FHA, 203K.
And we just finished up a project as well.
I'm Rogan, I'm with Guaranteed Rate, I've been in business for almost 20 years, and I'm in Brownsville, also, same thing that, Derek does, specializing in 203Ks and FHA rates, two main things, so we guys have a great class, and, get a lot out of it.
Okay. And not last but not least, we have our executive director and producer. Behind the scene, all around person. This beautiful young lady right here.
Good morning, everybody. I'm familiar with the names because I did the registration, so sorry, come on, this is exciting. I was like, my name is Melanie McQueen. I'm part of the Guernsey Race team, Bailey team. And I've been in the mortgage lending industry for 4 years now, and I thoroughly enjoy it, and you guys are totally gonna get a lot out of this class.
Right. And she's not even Kansas City McQueen.
No, but you can call me Steve.
Right.
You can call me Steve.
Okay, so, the classes that are being brought to you by AHI Real Estate and Insurance Services. He's a licensed, real estate educational provider that I typically use. We're gonna be discussing the FHA 12B loan process.
Hold on before we move. Teacher, make sure we're looking at our students too.
Okay.
Because students are right here. Students online are here.
Oh, right here?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
When you start this new class, there's people in waiting.
Oh, yep, I sure did. Let's see. Hold on, if there's people, I don't show anyone waiting. Okay.
We've never done this a hybrid before, so bear with us. We may have a little bit of technical difficulties, but I'm asking anybody who knows a great joke in the middle of a technical difficulty. Listen up and do your thing. You know, we need a little levity going there as we go. So, so the FHA 203B versus 203K loan process in a nutshell. If you bring a client to the table to their lender, oh, FHA financing is 203B loan. That is a standard 203B. And typically when there's egregious situations going on with that property, you can't close it unless the owner do the renovations that's needed to meet the minimum property standards set aside by FHA. And everybody do understand what the minimum property standards are. You know, the roof got to be intact, the sidewalk can't have drip hazards, there's no peeling paint. Anything peeling, FHA is not a big fan of. The back porches, old flooring that has asbestos in it. And we're going to talk about how you can do quick 203Ks drive-by instead of spending a lot of time trying to figure out what do you want to do. And I'll kind of give you some rules of thumbs to go with. So the 203B is the basic mortgage loan for your principal residency. The 203K permits buyers to finance, purchase, and renovating a principal residence. Not your second or your third, you know, for all you high-end people. It's just your principal residency. And when we know FHA loans are funded by lending institutions such as mortgage companies, and FHA has its own rates, but the lender, maybe it can bump a half a point or something onto there. So we don't have, the lender doesn't have to follow FHA guidelines to the letter. And so if you have questions, please write those down too. We'll have a great question and answer session. FHA provide mortgage insurance for a person to purchase or refinance a principal residency, securing the lender against default. Now, ideally, when you do a 203K, when a person sees this house, we're going to take a quick example. Here's a single-story home. This home is worth 180 grand. That's what the comp said, right? What if we put the identical house on the top of, what is that house worth? 360,000. Everybody with me on that? If this house right here that I'm holding is worth 180 per the comps, and we put additional square footage on it that matches the first floor, should understand the reason that square footage added above grade will make that residency $360,000. And that's how we do 203Ks. It's post renovation value. So when we started, it was 180,000. And then we get finished because we put this additional square above grade. We're going to increase the value of that residence to 360, almost identical as what the first floor was. Everybody got that? And I'm talking in layman's terms, so if I go kind of fast, someone just stops me. Okay? The 203K loan types. The 203K, the minimum rehab is $5,000 up to FHA maximum loan amount. And it varies by state and it varies by area. So California, choose that if you will. I think in Illinois is the, excuse me? 368 But in California, maybe 600,000.
Okay, just say, can you repeat it in here?
Okay, so FHA, the minimum for a single family was
$368,000.
$368,000 in Cook County. If you're doing that same house in California, you're probably going to go about 500 to 600,000. Everybody with me on that?
I don't know it off the top of my head, but I can find out for you before we leave.
But I'll bet you New Page County is higher than Cook.
It's actually about the same.
It's about the same?
68 to 72.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So I would think that it'll be the same because it's a more affluent.
I'll tell you guys how to find it.
Yeah, okay. That's Earl's specialty. I'm just the guy with the nails and the hammers and stuff like that. The 203K streamline finance up to $35,000 into their mortgage for repairs, improvement, and upgrades. When you're thinking about the $35,000 loan to streamline, gotta be very, very careful. That's the gross amount. That loan typically only funds $29,500 net. Everybody with me on that? The gross after the bank fees and all those other things, $35,000, and then what net what the contractor has to work with is $29,500. Now, also if there's additional things we got to do in a bit. So say for instance the whole loan is $10,000. Can that fit into a streamline? Class, come on, give me some energy. 10,000. We got $10,000 loan. Will that qualify for a streamline? What about a $20,000 loan? Will that qualify for a streamline? What about $25,000? Does that qualify for a streamline? It does. Here's a kicker. What if you got this loan for $12,000 and you got to do structural damage to structural repairs to the house? It is not a streamline anymore. Anytime you present structural to a streamline, it goes to a full 203K. It doesn't matter the dollar amount. So the difference between a 203K streamline and a full, one, you need a HUD consultant, which is what I am, and the second, you don't. Got me on that? So if it's a $35,000 or less, you don't need a HUD consultant unless you're doing structural things to the property. And so that's up to the underwriters for that lender to make that determination. Anything above 35,000 is a full 203K. Yes, ma'am.
You had said something with the 35, and then said something with that at 29.
Okay, so a $35,000 203K streamline loan, you can get that for $35,000 gross, but it's going to net $29,500 for the contractor, the actual renovations.
So the max is 29.5.
29.5. Bank fees, contingency. So 10% of your renovation loan, you got to have 10% for contingency. Open up the walls. Hey, what's going on? The second thing is there may be some ancillary bank fees that I never get into. I just know how it funds because I've done so many of them. And then Mr. Bailey and Mr. Wright will be happy to answer those questions as it relates to what happened to the $5,000. Yes, ma'am. Structural, if bricks are involved. I'll just put it, that's the easiest way for me to.
So it's not plumbing or electrical.
Gotta be careful with that because plumbing may involve digging for a drain underground. When we consider that structural in nature, we use masonry mix. They would probably consider that structural in nature. Yes, Mr. Bailey.
Like from my point of view, it's usually if it's on, even if you do fix or repairs to it, as long as it's on before if it's on, then it could be a streamline. If the utilities aren't on, then you have to either get a consultant or make it past a streamline or either increase the reserve, which you'll get into.
Right. And the underwriters typically guide me through that process. I don't try to play God out there. I just go through my feasibility, my studies and that sort of thing, submit it, and then the underwriters, hey, the streamline. Okay, low down payment, 3.5% of the loan amount purchase plus repair. That's what you need 3.5% down payment for. Everybody with me? Purchase home requiring repairs or modernization. So the streamline is $5,000 to $35,000. I got a loan for $4,000. I want to do this little bit of this and a little bit of that. Can I do that? FHA standards? It's got to be what? $5,000 and up. It's got to be interest deduction, and it helps revitalize communities. Just tell you a quick tidbit about my house. I had drugs being sold on my block, and I had a lot of at-night activities going on. And so I tell people all the time, you got to be willing to be a pioneer in your community, starting block clubs, because when property becomes in demand, it starts to be big wars, doesn't it? Prices start to go up and stuff. So my block is in high demand currently. Very, very high. We raised a lot of kids on there. It was a great thing. And it does help to revitalize community. Inglewood is a community being revitalized by Fannie Mae 203K. It's really, really making a difference in that community. Next slide, please. So the 203K loan and borrower qualifications. Owner-occupied properties, primary residence, attached and detached single-family residence, 1 to 4 units, investor purchase are not allowed. Guess what else? You can do mixed. You can do, the building can have mixed use. What if there's a beauty shop on the bottom floor and 2 units on the top? Can you do a 203K? You sure can. But you only can use 51% of your 203K. It's got to be 51% legal dwelling and 49% commercial. Everybody with me on that? So they'll do a square footage analysis. Hey, we got 52% and 48%, so we can do that. Now, no funds can be used on the commercial side of things, but you know, when you process your 203K for that mixed use, it's great to have a consultant, and he can kind of get you through to the next level. But these are great for mixed use. Absolutely is. Again, and investor purchases are not allowed. Next slide, please. Rehab with HUD's 203K loan. That's us. So the Section 203K program is the primary program for the addition, rehabilitation, and single family. It is an important tool for the community neighborhood revitalization and expanding home ownership. I'm going to hold you right there for a minute. Let me see how I'm going to phrase this. When you go do a 203K as a real estate agent, the very first thing you're supposed to have in your hand is a comparable market analysis. Do not visit properties, do not have a discussion with your client without comparable market analysis. Because this word is key. The acquisition and your renovation go hand in hand. If this house I'm holding is worth $200,000 and you're getting it for $100,000, okay? So that means, and then the comps are $200,000 and you're getting it for $100,000. How much do you have for your renovation? About $100,000. Actually, about $110,000 because you can do 110%. The more you get from the seller, the more you can put into that house. Because in one ball of wax, all you get is the acquisition, $367,000. So if you bought this at $200,000, how much renovation can you do? $167,000 worth, right? And then the more you get this acquisition price to go down, you can put that to this column. Everybody with me on that? So the acquisition, Brownsville is a big deal when it concerns this. They sell it just boarded up buildings for $200,000, single family, two flats. And it's or something for $1,000. And you for the HUD guidelines, you can't go any further. So if it's a nightmare, that probably ain't the best place to be guiding your client to, because everybody's gonna get frustrated. And you as an agent, you're gonna waste your time. So what we wanna do is a feasibility analysis on the fly. What's the purchase price? $200,000. How much does the property need? About $200,000 renovation. It ain't gonna fly. It's $400,000. Acquisition and rehabilitation. Everybody feel me on that? The acquisition plus the rehabilitation puts you in the boat 367 or less for a single family. Everybody with me on that? Nobody's lost there. Okay, because if you are, just ask a question. That's very, very key. I have people all the time, Dan, I got a 203K, let's go. Well, where's the comp? Well, I'll run the comp later. Well, I don't want to be out there with that client with a comp being ran later, because their mind is set on, I'm gonna get me a palace built. And ain't nobody got a comp in their hand. What am I supposed to do? I'm trying to help you and your client from wasting your time and theirs. We already know, me and Mr. Reed for his daughter yesterday, acquisition, excuse me, $285,000. Yeah, before we even got on the inside of the house, we had $80,000 worth of work. She's already, her mortgage limit is roughly around 400 grand. That deal is dead in the water, because when we go through that, it's got to meet the HUD minimum property standards. And who's coming behind me? The appraiser. Based on the write-up that I gave them. Oh, I'm reading this, and you got to do the garage. You got to add the garage to that. The garage building, the door don't go up. There's no sensors on the door. Sensors got to be on the garage to reverse that door before it won't injure a little kid or a dog. Everybody with me on this? You got to be thorough. Don't leave home without a comp. I don't care what you're saying. I really want to see it. Let me run the comp first. That's your job. And do a great job at this, because I'll tell you this. The more you know and the better job you do, your client won't be so frustrated, pulling you here and pulling you there. It's very, very important. Next slide, please. Is it stuck? Hey, Nicole, never did joke. I think Earl was the one stuck. Okay, FHA, how's it different? 203K, how's it different? Traditional mortgage financing plans provide only for permanent financing. Traditional mortgage rehab unit standard financing. And interim financing, acquisition, and construction loans involve relatively high interest rates and short amortization period. That's a hard money lender. Hard money, if you don't know what you're doing, don't lead your, for lack of a better term, up pit bulls. And all they want is your client to fail. Get it close and I'll take it from there. Get it balls up. You ain't done? Well, we'll talk to you later, partner. Give me no keys. You got to be very, very careful about that. Okay? 203K loan eligibility property types: single family homes, duplexes, triple 4-unit apartments, condominiums. We got to be careful with the condos and mixed use residency. If you got a 4-unit building, can you make that a 2-unit? FHA? You certainly can. If you got a 1-unit and there's capabilities of making that a 2-unit, you can even do that too. If we can structurally separate that and meets the Illinois residency code with the ceiling heights and all that sort of thing, and is zoned for that, we probably can pull it off. Yes, ma'am.
So you said that it has to be a primary residence and it has to be owner occupied. So if I buy a condominium building, I have to live there.
Exactly.
And that has to be my home.
That's got to be your home.
It's just, but I can rent out all the rest of it.
No, you can't buy the whole building.
You can't buy the whole building.
Oh, I can only buy the single.
Right, that condo. This is like a 2-flat in terms of the city. It's a 2-flat unit on the first floor, unit on the second floor. Triplex is 3 units. First, second, third is family.
So I think you can buy a 1 to 4, up to 4 units, and you have to live in them and invest in them.
Exactly.
So 4 units is the max, as long as you occupy one of them.
Right. She's on the team,
And
guys.
it's for a year, right?
Huh?
For a year. Or do you
I'll let Mr. Bailey answer that question.
We probably won't come after you if it's at least a year. No, as long as you move in the building and stay there, we usually have a default term. It's no defined amount, but if you stay there for a year, HUD probably be okay with it.
Gotcha.
I just want to confirm that it has to be the original accusation, like once you get, you can't do a 203K on the property that you own.
Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
It could be done as a purchase or refinance.
Right. I've lived in my house for 30 years and I did a 203K. Some pictures I want to say, I just want to show off.
There's a question online about the hard money. They didn't understand what you were saying about hard money.
Will, can you hold that question to the end?
Okay.
We don't want to conflate right now. We're talking about 203Ks.
Okay.
And we'll get into the hard money. So get that person's name and we'll come back to that question. Everybody good? We'll go to the next slide. Does everybody understand what mixed use is? What's mixed use? Raise your hand. Right. And what? Give me an example. What makes it? How much got to be commercial? How much got to be residential?
For the loan?
Yeah.
51% residential.
I like her. She sit up there like she was the smartest kid in class, believe me. I bet you she was. Okay, FHA 203K single family homes. Property must be 1 to 4 family dwellings completed for at least 1 year, and properties can convert from 1 family dwelling into 2, 3, or 4 family dwellings. An existing multi-unit dwelling could be decreased to a 1 to 4 family. So you can go down from 4 to 1 if you want it. And 203K mortgage may be originated on a mixed-use residential property. Restrictions apply. Anybody know the restrictions? Come on. There you go. That's the restriction. It's 5149. Simple as that. You know, if it's 50 and a half and 49 and a half, can we make that happen? Just call Danny. Danny will make it happen. We ain't gonna tell her. Next slide. Okay, condominium units. This is my kryptonite. There's a lot of stuff goes on as far as FHA and 203K. The building got to qualify, some other issues, and that's something for the lender to help you out with. But the department also permits section 203K mortgage to be used for individual units, condominium projects approved by FHA. Because if FHA don't approve it, we ain't doing 203Ks or anything else. It's got to be owner occupant, qualified, nonprofit only, ability limited to interior units. That's interior only. Condominium, and condominiums from the walls in, not from the outside walls in, the interior walls in. The maximum mortgage amount cannot exceed 100% of the after improved value. And Mr. Bailey will be getting into that with you toward the end of the program. Next slide, please. The FHA loan, how can it be used? Dwelling in land, dwelling in another site, and refinancing existing properties. Here's the deal. What if somebody just came through and knocked this old raggedy building down and you want to build on that? Can you do that? Sure you can. You can build on that existing foundation. But what if you just see this a plot of land and he's like, I just want to build me a house at 203K the place. Can you do that? Can't do it. We want some concrete involved in it. If you moving on, if you got just straight dirt, that's an easy way to put it, but that's exactly what's happening. If ain't no we can't see the concrete perimeter walls, we can't build on it. Can we augment the foundation once we see it there? Of course we can, per municipality, but it's got to be a foundation for us to build up on. Luxury improvements are ineligible for the FHA 203K. What do you mean luxury? That's like, you know, spas and pools and things of that nature. Next slide. Okay, FHA 203K loan eligible improvements, painting, plumbing, carpentry. Everybody gonna call me when they improve their carpentry? Or I just gotta start with other. Can I go to your room? Okay, room additions, decks, HVAC, and others. Now, all health and safety, energy conservation items must be addressed prior to completing general home improvements. What do we mean by that? What if you got asbestos running through your whole house? We got to have that in the specification of repairs. They call it SOR. So anybody know what an SOR is? There she go again. You're supposed to bring me an apple because you're supposed to be the favorite kid bringing an apple to the
You said one more time, specificity of specification
of repairs means what? What's it abbreviated for? What's the specification of, what's the abbreviation? SOR. What about throw a trick one in there, BOR? That's a bid on a repair. So after I do an SOR, you want a contractor to come on a bid on those specified repairs. And what it'll do is I'll write down all the repairs, new HVAC, new flooring, new whatever. And I'll put those specific repairs in what room they go in, living room, dining room, bathroom, whatever. So, and it'll be blank. And we give that to a contractor. Fill it in with your numbers. That's the bid on repairs. And what's the abbreviation for it? BOR. So you'll hear these terms right around once you get your first 203K, you're talking to your lender and underwriter, and they start shooting these terms by you. We want you to be very articulate when we're talking about these terms so people can know that you're real savvy and smart, and that sort of thing. And I'm a big stickler on being articulate in this business. When you hem and haw your client together, they lose confidence in you. How many times have I been on home inspections and 203Ks multiple times and they didn't come back with their agent? And the agent has the nerve to tell me from time to time, hey, Danny, this is my client, you got to take it easy with them. You're giving them too much information. Well, they just paid me and you're still waiting to get paid. Whose client is it first? So you can go run along. I'm doing my thing over here. Everybody get me on that? And I can be kind of a jerk sometimes in the field because this home buying business is a very serious business. And when I bought my first house, I got ripped off so bad. I bought some statues back when I was in the Air Force through Panama. And this guy, in order for me to have my floors covered, he said, I want that statue, and that too. He didn't do it. I mean, he just ripped me completely off. And so on my watch, none of my get ripped off. I say we kind of getting ripped off by an agent that don't know what they're doing. I'm gonna tell you right in front of your agent know what they're doing. And you is just as strong as the team you bring. You got a crappy lender, GC, the project ain't going nowhere. You're gonna be so frustrated. Yeah, I don't know what's your problem. It ain't going nowhere. How a 203K starts is how it's gonna finish. If it was raggedy getting started, it's gonna be raggedy all the way through. And your client is gonna be holding some bullets for you. It was like, she cute, but she ain't do that good of a job. He all right, but he ain't do that good of a job. I'm serious, and they always come back to me and tell me, and I'm curious, why did you even come back with your agent? Yeah. Okay, next slide, please. So is painting an eligible improvement? Can we do HVAC? Can we put the nice mirror in your bathroom with the lights all around it? Sure, we can do all of that. Can we put the glass towel in your tub surround? Sure, we can do all that. Can we give you some posh marble flooring? Sure, we can do that. But can we give you a sauna room in the basement? We ain't doing that. Okay, we ain't doing that. You got to save your money for that. No, what should you buy a refrigerator on your 203K? You can, but here's the deal: you finance a refrigerator for 30 years. People love to see you coming. Come on, man, we get you the refrigerator that you always wanted. And guess what? You get your own ice and water. We're gonna give you a 30-year plan. Boy. Hey, I got people all the time put my refrigerator stove on there. Hey, put it on in there. 203K appraisal report. This is where it gets tricky. You guys selling the building for $280,000, and the appraiser come out here and say this building's worth $230, man. $230,000. Somebody, we just lost $50,000 somewhere. And guess what got affected by that new appraised price? The competition now. And she didn't even look up like she's Tiger hitting a golf ball. Y'all is really, really cool. That's so true. So the appraiser can come through and throw a monkey wrench in the whole thing. That's why you got to have good comps. And what if you got 3 comps in the appraiser? What if you got 3 good comps in the appraiser, and your good comps say that $280,000, the appraiser comes along and says $225. What you gonna do with those 3 good comps? Go to war for your client. Don't be coming around here talking about no $225,000, and I got 3 comps that says $280. I hope you strapped up because we about to go. I'm serious. You gotta, sometimes these deals you gotta fight for them. I went through the same thing. The guy undervalued my property. And me and Earl went back and forth for 2-3 months. Like, gee, what's going on here? So you got to just be ready for the whole, that's why you gotta be a student of this process. Expected market value of the property is determined upon completion of the proposed rehabilitation and or improvement as is value. Separate appraisals, uniform residential appraisal report may be required to determine the as is value. The number of appraisals depend on the complexity, scope of work, lender's review of the proposed rehabilitation, and the nature of the work. That's very, 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 very key. That's why it's good to do a great specification of repairs. Based on this SOR report, this is what the property is going to look like, and we're ready to go. Want to come on in? Have a seat. Oh, yeah, because you're late. You got to come somebody to teach you. And we want to know as to why you were late. Yes, sir.
Normally, you only need a second. Normally, you only need a second appraisal when you're doing a refinance, and that's to establish the value. The higher the value you start with, the less likely you are to have to put any money into the transaction. So that's the only reason, in general, that you do 2 appraisals.
Everybody with that? Girl, want to run that by one more time?
Normally, you don't need 2 appraisals on a purchase. You would get it sometime on a refinance because the more your property value is worth relative to what you owe on it, the better chance you got on the refinance of being able to do the transaction without any money out of your pocket.
And believe me, it gets steep. You just, I got 3.5%, I'm ready to go. But you got some other ancillary fees that can kick in there when you kind of below your appraised value. Because who got to make up the difference? You do. If the appraised value is 150 and you banking on the place was the appraised value was 125 and you was banking on it being one, you got to bring $25,000 to closing basically. The money got to come from somewhere. So again, that's why it's great to have a great feasibility in your hand before we start rocking and rolling with this deal here. 2 or 3K loans and architectural exhibits. The home buyer may decide to employ an architect and a consultant. Let me just stop right here for a minute. Most of you all look like y'all some very aggressive agents, beautiful, I might add, and very, very handsome. And your client's probably going to be very beautiful and very handsome. And they also got this big screen TV where they're watching HGTV. And as soon as they walk in the living room, the first thing comes out of their mouth. Move that wall. I'm like, baby, what channel was you watching? And how much wall do you want me to remove? It never failed. I'm telling you, they be for real about this thing. You need architectural exhibits. Because you'll get a self-performing contractor, and I'm one of them, and I want to make people happy when I'm working. I'll move the wall. I got caught doing that one time without a permit because I know how to move a wall and prepare my footings for underneath that wall. But the city inspector came out, where's your drawings? For what? That's a partition wall. Well, where's your drawings? He said, if you give me the wrong answer one more time, I got this big old sticker for your homework. I'm gonna give you this big old orange sticker. We're gonna give you a stop work order. Just hold tight. I'm gonna get you a sketch. Because you can have a sketch, outline what you're gonna do. That's an architectural exhibit. And it's going into underwriting with you. So for me, from now on, I'm putting architectural plans. So I want to keep my project going. You need the architectural exhibits. The home buyer must provide the lender with appropriate architectural exhibits. They clearly show the scope of work to be accomplished. Why is that important by a show of hands? Anybody know why that's very, very important? It's after appraised value. Remember, we bought this house for $150,000, and we got all these glamorous private things we're doing in the house. We're doing $150,000 worth of work. So how much does the house got to be appraised for when we're done? We bought it for $150,000. We got $150,000 worth of work we're doing. It's got to be appraised for what? $300,000. And here's something interesting that most people don't know. I try to tell my clients to make your house worth $350,000. I'm doing my son's house right now. We're moving the walls back 18 feet, putting another roof on his. But he said, Dad, I don't need another bedroom. Yes, you do. Why do we need another bathroom? because I don't want to have to pay PMI after 12 months. If I increase this value of this property by 20%, guess what comes off? The PMI. It's about $400 or $500. Wherever that, I don't know, that's a car note. Now you got a new house and you look fly in your new car. It's like Patsy just said, you got a new car and a new house. So the more equity stake you gotta have in that property upon completion, that's a good 203K. When they refinance or whatever, and guess what? Husbands take that off automatically. They do, per their guidelines. This house has 20% equity stake, and the PMI got to come off. So I'll let Mr. Bailey address it.
FHA changed their rules a couple of years ago, and PMI stays on forever on the 30-year mortgage.
So what you gonna do?
Refinance, build that equity up, and then I'll call you back a little later to see if we can refinance you into a conventional loan, get rid of that equity, and you'll have a smiling face.
So now, is that something else you can? I don't know if they changed this. What if you got? Well, that ain't gonna matter because it's still an FHA loan. You still have PMI. You want to do? You want to go to a conventional product at that point for a couple of reasons. Drop the PMI, and what else are you going to drop? Probably going to drop a 0.5 percentage point. Everybody with me on that? That may be $100 or something. So that's very, very good to know. Next slide, please. See, I'm writing somebody about that. This stays on ever the PMI. That's crazy. FHA 203K loan plot plan. A plot plan of the site is required only if new additions is being made to an existing structure, to the location and structure sidewalks. We just got jammed up on that. Mr. Wright may not know that it was his client. We had to, when you're doing a renovation, here's the house. Everybody looking at this right here? Here's the house. The new addition on the back of the house, walls got to go in 2 feet this way, 2 feet that way, then you got to go up. That's got to be surveyed to do just that. If that doesn't happen, the city going to come out with sign in hand, ready to stick it right on your door for stop mortgage. So there's some things that you got to follow. And when you have architectural exhibits in the survey, they're going to spell all that out where you can build that. That's why it's good to have an architect. And when I'm finished my book this year, here's the key when you get an architect. Make sure your architect is a certifying architect. He can pull your permits for you. Don't be in there drawing guys who've been drawing parking lots and say, this guy's my architect. Do you know why you picked that guy as your architect? And is he responsive to your needs? A certified architect is your best friend because he pulls all your permits. He certifies all of your subcontractors to make sure who they say they are. He also certifies to make sure that the insurance in place, their workers' comp, their liability, all those sorts of things, their bond. And another thing, if somebody's doing electric, HVAC in your house, for your client, make sure they're bonded. Because a lot of these guys out here, well, I can't make it to work today. My mama's teeth was hurt. I didn't heard it. Well, did you go over there and pull mama's tooth? Or you just stand up there? I just can't make it for that reason. But when your contractor goes crazy on you, you just call your bond company. But you ain't gonna argue with no contractor. What's owed on the project? $25,000. Okay, we'll send a check out there. You go get you another contractor. The bond company takes away your headaches. Don't do a project. Oh, we can just run in there and not pull a permit. Don't do it. I'm telling you. And here's another reason why you don't want to do that. So say, for instance, you rehab this house and you added another bathroom and then nobody know. Are we just working? Just stick a bathroom in there. Did that make your house work anymore? Money? Add another bathroom? Anybody raise your hand? They know the answer.
No.
Why not?
Because without pulling the plans, and there technically is no proof of that added square footage.
Bingo! Y'all neck and neck, 2 and 2. There's no record of that bathroom being there. So you're not getting anything for your post-rehab value. No, nobody know. The city don't know. You got a nice looking bathroom, but the city don't know nothing about it. So when you there and you get ready to sell that house and that bathroom is not part, somebody got to tear that house. That kitchen you put down in the bathroom, basement, the bathroom in the basement, and the kitchen in the basement, when you change owners, guess what? That's gotta come out. Those pipes gotta get capped. Ain't nobody tell you to put no bathroom and kitchen down there. Well, my uncle was staying down there. What you talking about? HUD gonna come right through there with their appraisal and say, put some caps on this. Well, I don't want to put no cap on it. Well, you ain't gonna be buying this property for real. You know why? Because they can't take the liability onto them because it's not habitable. The ceilings are this low. Oh, you should have seen this. I'm short, and I'm talking about I'm like, what in the world is going on here? And the lady bought it anyway. She switched her loan to conventional. Baby, you don't want me to give you the horror story. I'm going to tell y'all some horror stories before it's over, but for real, next slide, please. The loan proposed interior plan. The proposed interior plan of the dwelling must show where the structural or plan changes are contemplated. Guess what called me up? Structural. She wanted that wall taken out. Remember I told you that? And I slipped in there and tried to stick it out real quick. I can take a wall out and put another back and fix the wall. I can do that in half a day. I'm gonna get called. Because you gotta show, because when somebody buys this loan, the investor, I didn't buy this. What's this right here? They're selling those loans after the person closed. I mean, that's for a mutual fund or something. And you didn't tell me nothing about all these. You just want to add 5 bathrooms on your own. It's because you thought you was a plumber. Yes, sir.
The big horror thing is the property, like if you have a fire and the property burns down, you can't rebuild it like that.
Exactly. Insurance company gonna say, what? You ain't had no bathroom in there, but they got the pipes right there. You can, okay. Matter of fact, we might send you your money back. We might not even, because that might have contributed to the fire. Prove that it didn't. These big insurance companies will pull that on you. Trust me. If I was on the insurance company, I'd put it on you too. I ain't got to pay $300,000 because you added 2 other bathrooms in there. The GFCI will start a fire quicker than anything. Everybody know what the GFCI is, right? It's the plug with the red and the black button on it. Everybody know what that is? They're in the kitchen, bathrooms, in the basement, and the garage. Those are called ground fault checker interrupters. What are they called? They were originally made for when husbands stayed out all night and came in late, and they were belligerent and drunk. And honey, make me some bath water. And he going there with the bath. She throw the radio in there with him. Dan, you said you weren't going to do that. Okay, but that ain't what it's. That ain't really what happened. But it will stop your husband from getting electrocuted if the radio accidentally falls in there. And there was some lobbyists saying, hey, there's a lot of guys out here getting electrocuted in the bath there's a trend going on here. So everybody started with the GFCI, and it shuts the power down in less than a second, 0.3 of a second. So hey, with the GFCI. An existing plan is no longer required. So one more time, the proposed interior plan of the dwelling showing where structural or plan changes are contemplated. She's thinking, she saw it on HGTV. Including an addition to the dwelling must be included in the plan. I'm just building a little spot for my little daughter. Gotta be in the plan. All the little nooks and crannies. Now, my house, when it was built, I got an American 4-corner. That's the kind of house I got. That house was right with dead space. And I took care of all of that during the renovation period. I had this real tight closet. I made a little steam room to do my ironing and stuff like that. It was kind of cool. I kind of felt good about myself. And it's a nice little lighting there and stuff. I mean, my granddaughter want to eat our popcorn with our fingers out and stuff. It was just so kind of cool. So go ahead and flip change it. When I was doing my place, I built the whole thing up, framed it all in, 3 stories, put the new roof on and everything. Guess what happened? The city came out and said, where's the stairs? The year before, a family got burned, completely 9 individuals burned in their house. Lived in an attic apartment, and there was no egress. There was no egress, and those people burned that. And 2 months later, they changed the code. And I had started building my house, and there was no stairs for the back. I had to stop what I was doing, make my bedroom smaller, and build a staircase from the top over down to gray, which is the ground. Wasn't that something? By George, that guy was a good carpenter because it looks good and I like it. I do is kind of got to go up the back stairs, my little secret stairs and stuff like that. And you can even see them. It's just so cool. I guess it's great to be a carpenter sometimes. Okay, the work write-up, that's your SOR and cost estimates. Consultant must prepare the work write-up and cost estimates without using contractor's bids. A lot of lazy S203K consultants, where's your contractor's bid? And I want to use that to start bidding on stuff, writing stuff down. Well, he's training you or you're training him. His bids may be unusual and uncustomary. So I had to switch hats from being a 203K consultant to a plan reviewer. This guy's always got his blueprints and he already got his plans and he talked to his contractor and he go to numbers. This ain't gonna fly because he ain't got enough money. So I become a plan reviewer and like, let's get this thing back in reality because my numbers and the contractor's number has to match. Cost estimates include labor and material sufficient to complete the work by the contractor. Home buyers doing their own work cannot eliminate the cost estimates for labor. Here's the thing, you can't self-perform anymore. You used to be able to as a homeowner. I'm doing my own painting. Ain't doing it. And here's the other thing when it comes to this right here. What if your client say, I seen my stove and refrigerator at Sears. And the stove, you charged me $1,800 and I seen it, I could have got it for $900 at Sears. And I saw the stove, I could have got that for $1,200. You don't got no business selling the contractor that because he got a right to make a profit, overhead and labor. In addition to, he's starting that job with his money, not yours. If you're doing a full 203K. If you got a $100,000 job, he got to start that job $25,000 with his money. So clients start getting a little crazy. Hey man, I don't want to pay no $2,000 for a refrigerator. You should have bought it on your own anyway. But this guy is, if he's buying and bringing it and hooking it up, if he drop it, guess who got to buy another refrigerator? That contractor. Everybody with me on that? So you got to be you got to be stickler with your client. Like, hey, calm down now. That man I know how to do 203Ks and leave that brother alone. He's doing the way he's supposed to do it. So the other thing with a client, I just want to let you know this. A 203K starts off great. Everybody's best friend. I'm gonna bring my contractors some chicken and they're gonna be working and everybody's gonna be eating and talking and working and crumbs gonna be all over the floor. When it comes down to that finished work, the nails are coming out. Scratching and clawing. Why is that? Finished work takes effort to do. And it's very, very costly. I didn't know I gotta put trim and caulk and I gotta do all this. It's very, 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 very slow. And you will get very impatient like I'm getting right now with myself. I'm telling myself, speed up, but I'm old now and I'm tired now. And I want to drink a cerveza fría. I don't want to work on court, but I gotta finish up because it's golf season. I gotta get through. So the finished work, just be patient with that, and I'll show you how to get to that. And then when we're done with all of this, when you get stuck on a 203K, just call me. I'll get you off the cliff. I'll get you off the ledge. Don't cost you nothing. Yeah, what's going on here? Next slide, please. 203K loan definition: insurance of advances, rehabilitation escrow account, inspection, holdback, contingency reserve, mortgage payment reserve, approval of nonprofit agencies. These are definitions you gotta know as a real estate agent. Anybody don't know any of these definitions? Raise your hands and we'll give you which one you don't know.
Insurance of advances.
The insurance of advances. So, girl, you want to talk about the insurance of advances? This you want me to touch on it?
Which one is streamline and full?
Yes, we're on the full.
Okay.
We're talking about the full.
So on the when you're doing a 203K loan, money goes into an escrow account. If you're doing a full 203K loan, like you said, the contractor doesn't get any money up front. So the contractor has to start the job, and once he gets to a certain level, he'll contact your 203K consultant Dan, and he'll say, "I've done this much work. Can I get some money?" And then Dan will come by, look at it, make sure he's done the work, make sure he's done it in a good workmanlike fashion, and then he'll authorize the contractor to get some of his money. The reason they do it like that is for, to keep bad things from happening. Make sure the contractor actually has the financial ability to do the work. Also to make sure that he doesn't do sloppy work, and to make sure he doesn't get some of his money, decide that he don't need to do anything else or run off.
Right, and that money after you close goes to an escrow account for him to get draws from every month when he's done. So if you got 6 months to do the job realistically, and if it's $100,000 job, I want the guy to do $20,000 worth of work every month. I do. I'm expecting that. And so if he's not, he's got to go deal with his mom in the bad too. We're a little bit behind, and then you'll start getting calls from the rehabilitation specialist say you need an extension because you guys should have been finished. Is it the end of the world? No, it isn't, but I try to make sure it's the end of the world for the contractor. We kind of speed the guy up. The holdbacks, the inspections, I got to come do the inspection, and if it's not where I need it to be, and if the city haven't signed off on it, somebody ain't getting paid because I ain't signing my name to it. A holdback is the contractor said he has $10,000 worth of work being done. They always hold back 10% of that. So all he'll get a check for is $9,000. And then at the end of his 5 draws, when it's be in the final, they'll give him the rest of the money. That's called a holdback. The contingency reserve is if you got a $100,000 project, if you got a common 203K, you're going to put $10,000 in reserve. And it's called a contingency. And what is a contingency for? We took the walls down. Oh, wow, there's mold behind the walls. Oh, wow, there's termite damage. Whatever it is, the contingency is there for safety and health concerns that's egregious behind the walls that we didn't see. Yes, Martha.
Is it 10,000 for addition to?
It's 10% of the renovation cost.
10%.
Right.
So the 100,000 minus 10?
It's 100,000 plus 10%, so that's 110.
If you remember earlier, he said that you could do 35,000, but you can only come out to 29.5. Part of that is that you need 29,500. 29,500 is going to contingency reserve along with the other FHA things. So we always, so you get the TV program where they say, I found something you need to see. Okay, that money, you need money for that. So we want to make sure that when you start something, it'll get finished.
Right. So that $35,000 loan has $3,000 in contingency. And when you get these unsavory contractors, so they want to see that paperwork and they want to look at that contingency. And how can I get at that contingency immediately? And I always tell my contractors, nobody's touching that contingency unless we have to. These guys get bloodthirsty. It's like sharks in the water. Management, mortgage payment reserve, you can do 6 months of payment rolled up into your loan and approval of non-for-profit agencies. Okay, next slide, please. You know, something strange happened to me the other day. I found a check in my car for $1,700. It was dated 6 months ago. That's a good problem to have, ain't it? I was so happy. I'm going shopping. I wonder about that good time. Okay. What does that do with 203K? I don't know. 203K loan, maximum loan limits. And here's this outdated chart that Mr. Bailey gave me. And but it's still pretty close to these right now. Now, what are we telling you to do? Even though you see this on screen right now, do your research. The 4001 handbook tells you everything you need to know about 203Ks. And challenge me too, because I'm always going like I know everything. Oh yeah, this is, but become a student of what you're doing. And I'm telling you, you will be surprised at how much your income is going to change almost immediately. Because the house that the client said, I don't want it because the roof, wait a minute, you qualify for 203K. We can get that roof and get your house that you always wanted. So that's very, very important. 4 unit 703. I got a client bought a house at $525,000. She needs $300,000 worth of work, $400,000 almost. She bought it anyway and brought to the table $150,000 down payment. I just borrowed a couple dollars or something. 203K loan maximum mortgage calculations. Purchase. The maximum mortgage amount is based on the lesser below multiplied with all this other LTV. Take it away, Mr. Bailey.
So essentially, for instance, let's say you qualify for a $200,000 FHA loan. You qualify for almost $200,000 acquisition plus rehab amount on a 203K loan. That difference is that contingency fee we're talking about. because that have to be factored in there. So if you qualify for an FHA loan, you qualify for a 203K loan. And since FHA loans are 3.5% down, your 203K is 3.5% down of your acquisition plus your rehab cost. So it's pretty simple. If you qualify, for a 203, for an FHA loan, almost 99% the same for a 203K loan. Not very much to change. And also one nice thing about it, if you're a little bit over, like for instance, you bought the property for 150, you put the 50 into it, and the property only appraised out at 195. You're still good because you got 10% leeway with the 203K loan that you wouldn't have with a regular 203K, with the regular FHA loan.
So that was a very, very good synopsis, because you bought the house for 150 and your renovations was 150. Are you paying 3.5% just on that 150 or the whole 300,000? The whole three. Am I right about that?
Yes.
That's what I got kind of tricked up on that. I'm like, where's this extra money coming from? You asking me for? Well, that's your renovation budget. You got to pay the little 3.5% on. Oh, that's why I want to go through the process, because that little tidbit. I'm like, I had new golf clubs planning the trip to Aruba, so that's gone. If you want this loan, it's gone. So let me go to the next slide.
Just find a check under your seat.
Huh?
Or just find a check under your seat.
There's one more. I just need one more just like that one. We're all good. I'm COVID free and I got an extra check. Life could be sweeter. Maximum mortgage calculation. The existing debt of the property before rehabilitation plus the estimated cost of rehabilitation and allowable closing costs or the lesser of as is. What that actually mean in a nutshell, you have what's called allowable fees also in your loan. Allowable fees is the draw for me to come out to actually check 5 times and to do the final. That's into your allowable fees. It's gonna be like $350 per draw. So it'll come up to like $1,750. You have another allowable fees. What are your building permits? Fees for your building permits. That's an allowable fee. How much is your architect charging you? $4,000 or $5,000. That's an allowable fee. A clean air test is an allowable fee. These are all allowable fees that goes plus the contingency. So it's your acquisition plus your rehabilitation costs plus your allowable fees, and you ready to close. Everybody with me on that? Next slide, please. Okay, expenses eligible to be included in the cost of rehabilitation. Up to 6 months of mortgage payment, expenses related to the rehabilitation permits. We just talked about that. Inspection fees by a qualified inspector, that would be me. The licensing fees, the consultant fees, the architectural and engineering fees, material labor costs, contingency reserve, overhead and construction, and profit. Most people don't charge overhead and profit because they don't know how to do that. I get quotes and crayons sometimes. But a really, really good project, I'll tell a guy, you leaving some stuff out, man. You gotta do this thing right. Because here's the thing. When you ask a contractor, he give you the price of $100,000 and you say, well, I only got $80,000, can you do it for that? Somebody just got pissed off at that conversation. He may smile and walk away, but every time you turn your back, your client is gonna get their throat cut. I should have said that better. Because he's ticked off, he just cut $20,000 off his budget. He's gonna find ways to grapple and growl and all of. If the guy charges $100,000, I never heckle with a person what they charge. You know why? Either I'm gonna go with it or I'm gonna find somebody else. But I'm never gonna ask you to reduce your price. They ain't coming out my mouth. Because when somebody asks me to reduce my price, I get a real bad frown on my face and I ain't happy. And I just walk away. I have clients I do home inspections. Well, it's $375. Well, can you do it for $350? Because the other guy, I really want you, but the other guy is coming. Bye. And you and the other guy. Deuces. Bye, Felicia. I'm not even interested. You're going to be in this house for 30 years and you grabbing over $25? I'm coming up in here with my my GC hat on, my journeyman carpenter's hat on, my 203K consultant hat on, and my inspector's hat on. And that guy ain't got number 1 hat. Are you kidding me? Go on over there and do that. And he might be in there just taking pictures. Oh, okay, I think I got to see something here. Put a little red dot on it. And your house been inspected. And then I get the call back, Mrs. Morgan, I can understand why I'm still cold in this one room I got. I can understand the smell I got in my attic. Because he didn't check the attic and see that the chimney didn't go all the way through. Come on. You guys got to help these people vet people properly. And a lot of people, I got my own little country, my own little inspector that I work with. Come on now. If he's incompetent and this is a good project for your client, hey man, Tony, I'll give you the next one, but we got to have a good guy do this one or whatever. So these fees are very, very important. They're very, very important. And we're going to talk to you about, now, are you going to remember all this stuff during your 203K process? No. Are you supposed to? I'm glad you're not. She's going to remember. I think she might. Here's the reason why I'm glad you may not remember all the things, because I want you to call me. Why do I want you to call me? So I can help you off that cliff. And I want to help you be articulate to your client. Wow, my agent is smoking. I mean, just smart as all. It's been tutored by Danny. Boy, must be nice. But for real, that's the real reason why I want you guys to call. And plus, I give. Sure.
So, in the fact that a contractor gets paid in arrears, how are you able to confirm if they actually have the upfront money to front the cost of the entire project?
Excellent question. Can you say it to the group again one more time?
Since general contractors get paid in arrears, how are you supposed to vet to ensure that the contractor has the money to cover the upfront costs?
Okay, so when you submit a contractor, like you say this is your contractor, then we're going to send the contractor a form. The contractor has to fill out the form, send his license. He also has to prove that he has things like accounts at Home Depot, or he has X amount of money in the bank. We need like 3 references. He has to have liability insurance. He has to have insurance to be able to deal with lead-based paint. We make sure that the contractor has all those things before we and then what you do, you have a standing list of people that that you can use because you've used them before, and people that you won't use because either they A, didn't pass the muster, or B, didn't do a great job the first time you get a chance.
So is that more on the lender's behalf or the?
Yes. No, and it's more on my behalf. Because what I like doing when I get bored is beat up on contractors. And when I see them drop their head, I'm like, this guy's not a good contractor. He comes in there, man, I did 100 buildings. Really? Okay. Me and you one-on-one. I must break you. But I'm going to vet that contractor. I read every single day about construction. Every night. You ask me something about grass seed. I'm going to talk to you about the grass seed. So ask me about window treatments. I'm going to give you some answers about window treatments. Tell me the different grades of wood flooring. I'm going to give you some answers regarding that. Talk about luxury vinyl, the wear date of that luxury vinyl. 10, 15, 20, 30-year wear dates. I can talk to you about that. We need 9 new joists in this, and what's the span should they be, and what should be the cost per joist. I can talk to you about all of that. And I can talk to you about notching those joists out, so on and so forth, because I'm a what? I'm a student at what I do. And the reason why I'm a student, because when you call me, I want to be a student for you too. I want your client to say, man, I got something here. And then now you created a center of influence. That person, he's getting ready to get his house, bought the house, getting ready to do a renovation. And guess what? You're going to be working his family for the next 5, 10 years. I'm sure that bit. Because Susie bought the house and everybody coming behind Susie, cousin, Amanda, and all these other people, they're going to be buying houses too. And they're going to see the outcomes. I love great outcomes. That's what we're here for, to build generational wealth. It gets bigger than us. It does get bigger than us. As real estate agents, as general contractors, as lenders, it's bigger than us. Because we got to hand a mantle to a person younger than us. That's the reason why we got electricity. Because somebody handed the mantle to Benjamin Franklin. And Benjamin Franklin went ahead and invented the electricity. It was already there, but he showed us how to harness it. He was an apprentice. His dad sent him away. My son, I sent him away. He had to go walk 117 miles through the forest without leaving a trail. And Dad, what's the reason why I got to do this again? Just for the experience of it. So when you have a client, that home buying transaction is on. harrowing experience. It's a harrowing experience to do a 203K. So the more competent people on our team, we all look good. Everybody with me on that? This is serious business. When you say you want to be a real estate agent and you want to do these 203Ks, you're not only going to increase your revenue stream, but you're going to be a pillar of the community, doing the great things for the generational wealth. Next slide, please. The exemption of market value. FHA 203K regulations allow waiver requests of the market value limitations, allowing appraisals to go outside the target area. I'll let Ms. Bailey talk to you about that a little bit.
Okay, so sometime after you do your property, there's a little bit of there's a little bit of variance with the appraiser to be able to go a little bit further or wider to get comps to make the 203K work. And then you also, but the big thing is you had that 10% leeway. So if the property doesn't quite appraise out, you're doing the repairs, you're making that property newer, so the chance of it appreciating value is greater. And on top of that, FHA realizes that making the property better is good for the community, so they give you a little bit of leeway on the value. So if the, like an example, all the properties I'm looking at are $200,000, except the ones I don't want because it's got an old kitchen and something like that. So you run the borrower around, and every property they want is 14 contracts on it. And then the one that's like $175,000, they don't quite want it. But you say, well, if you could redo the kitchen on this, put $20,000 worth of work in the kitchen and pull up the carpet and, put some, something on there, do $30,000 worth of work, would this be the house? And then paint it the colors you want. Would this be the house you want? Yeah. Okay, well, let's settle on this one, do a 203K loan. And then you get there and everything is ready. And then it doesn't quite appraise out. You got a little bit of leeway to still make that deal work.
Right. Here's another little tidbit. You're working these deals and your client happens to see 1 3 flat out of thousands. We don't got nothing to compare it to. At the bottom right-hand corner of a comparable market analysis, it says what this cost per square foot. Anybody seen that before? At the bottom right-hand corner, there's a cost per square foot. So if you see that cost per square foot and you see what that additional square foot is, you can do your own little appraisal right there. And then guess what? Once the appraiser know you're confident in how you came up with that number, give it to him when he's undervaluing your client's home. Everybody with me on that? At bottom right-hand corner, it's going to cost per square foot. Here's the square footage, and here's what this house appraised for. And then they'll have bottom right-hand corner, the cost per square foot. The additional square footage, you just use that to evaluate the house. And then if you can't find it, send me the thing and we'll do it together. And then you'll owe me a big old cheeseburger, the one that with your grease dripping at the bottom of it. And if there ain't no grease dripping at the bottom of it, I don't want no dry hamburger. And one thing I don't want to always ask my clients to bring is a fresh donut to the home inspection if I did a good job for you. And don't be pulling up here with no Dunkin' Donut. And I had one client, I told her I didn't eat high-end donuts. And then I know I didn't eat high-end donuts. And I know I defray from what we're talking about, but she said, Mr. Morgan, I didn't have no time to stop to get you a high-end donut, so I brought you 12 Dunkin' Donuts. So she bought me 12 pieces of, I ain't gonna call it garbage, but.
What's a high-end donut?
I do right donut.
There you go. Go somewhere other than Dunkin' Donuts. That's a high-end donut. Don't be bringing me no Krispy Kreme neither. No, it's too sweet.
That's great.
I need a little bit of hint of basil in my donuts and things like that. It's a nice dusting of powdered sugar and stuff. We can go on and on about these donuts here. But you'll know it's high-end when Dunkin' Donuts don't sell it, so that's the high-end donut. And I will give you a rubric on what a high-end donut is when we're done. Okay, so we want to make sure you have that. See, they faded to black after the donut talk. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, solar energy increase. These things right here, I'm not going to touch too much on this because you can get an additional 20% of valuation out of your loan, and the bank's got to be offering it, and it's real tricky. So I'll let Mr. Bentley talk to you quickly about that.
They have a little separate section where if you do energy efficient improvements and you can separate them out and you get like extra credit for doing those, where you're allowed to go a little bit higher in your budget than you normally would to do the energy efficient things. So that's like a benefit. The reason they do that is because they just encourage energy efficient, and I'm sure everybody likes to have something that, you know, makes their electric bill, their gas bill, their water bill a little less. So, you know, hopefully it'll mark off a whole bunch of boxes for the lender, you know, and everybody else.
Right, and plus in the south suburbs, I don't know about the western suburbs, there's a solar panel war. Well, the neighbor got 3 solar panels on his roof, then I got to get 5 on mine. And I seen one lady, she had the whole roof done in solar panels. And it's funny to see, I'm not a big fan of solar panels just yet, because the annual maintenance of them can be a little bit off-putting to a new home buyer. I'm just not. I'm not a big fan of having a person buy a big old 3-flat building that's a masonry building and they're 25 years old. What does that got to do with anything? And she can afford it? Well, there's some things going to happen with that building that if you don't take care of it, you're going to have issues with those bricks. Okay, the brick will get brick cancer, efflorescence, and all these other nasty little things. We go to the next slide. Can you go to the next one, please? Interest rates and discount points. And I'll let Mr. Betty talk about that, because I don't give you any points on anything. Or
okay, so the only mandated extra thing when it comes to interest rates on a 203K loan is FHA has what's called a supplemental origination fee that all lenders charge, and that's only charged on the rehab portion of the project. It's a minimum of $350 and a maximum of $1,500. So that's the only thing that would be a point that's a little different than a regular loan. In general, FHA loans have a little slightly, you know, sometimes if you have really good credit, it doesn't even have a slightly, but maybe a slightly higher interest rate than a regular FHA loan, but it's not anything dramatic. So for all practical purposes, and then on top of that, that supplemental origination fee is financed into the rehab. So other than maybe a slightly larger interest rate, which I say it might be as much as a quarter point, and maybe not even that, it should have about the same interest rate as a regular FHA loan.
Okay, we'll go over that a little bit more. Next slide, please. Independent consultant fee. A borrower can have, this is where we get real tricky. People come out there, I didn't know I had to bring you a consultant fee. When you show up and I show up, there's a fee due. For real, that's the best way I tell people, it's a fee due. Because sometimes these loan officers don't tell them about these fees. It also acts to reduce your overall fee. If you got to bring $10,000 in closing, you paid the HUD consultant $1,000, $400,000 renovation. Now you only got to bring about $9,000 in closing. That's one of the allowable fees that part of your down payment you got to address. And the other thing is the independent consultants help you with your architectural exhibits to examine everything. And just for the questions that you're going to be there asking and being answered, that's all part of our consultation. So those fees are due at the time of the visit. Next slide, please. I also have to give them a receipt because the bank got to know what those fees are. HUD accepted fee consultant prior to appraisal. A HUD accepted fee consultant must visit the site to ensure compliance with the program. These are from $15,000. Our pay is $100 bucks. From $15,001, $30,000, $150, so on and so forth. That's very outdated. Very. And I'll send you the outdated one via telephone call. You gonna pay me what? Next slide, please. Again, visit the 4001 HUD little booklet. It helps you when you just sit around and ain't got nothing to read. It's very, very boring, but it's good. It's good reading. The lender may charge a borrower no more than the actual amount the lender pays the appraiser. So if your lender, the appraisal is $600, the lender ain't gonna charge you $800. That ain't gonna happen. You know, tapping his own little fees on there to try to get a few extra dollars for this, that, and the other. It's got to be per HUD guidelines. Next slide. The inspection fee, rehabilitation / construction period. These establish the local HUD field office fees for maximum 5 draws will be allowed for your allowable fee. And basically, if there's any additional fees due per that renovation, the homeowner or the contractor does not pay it. And I never charge anything extra, so I'll make sure the job is going the way it's supposed to. Next slide. The title update fee and just this particular validity of the mortgage position for the mechanics lien. So basically, you're done working on the house got to get updated. House has been finished. There's no liens on it. The contractor got paid all the things he's supposed to do. We turned the paperwork in for the final inspection. There's no complaints by the homeowner, so on and so forth. The title update fee is all built into your loan. It's baked into the cake. Next slide. The application process. This is important. I'll let Mr. Bailey go over that.
Okay, so basically, like I said, you're basically doing an FHA loan. You do the standard pre-approval process, and then they say, then I usually get the client, can we do a 203K loan? I say, yes. Is it the same amount? I was like, probably a little bit less. So if, like I said, 200,000. If y'all get you 20,000 pre-approval, let's say the acquisition of rehab is going to be 185, 190 at the most. And what I normally do is say, when you found a property, and Dan alluded to this when he first started, when you found a property, let's say the property is 130. As a realtor, I want to do one thing that makes sure that the project will probably work. You know, when you're in the office, pretend the property was going to already be, even before you go out and look at the property, pretend that property, you know, it needs some work, but pretend it was already fixed up. Do a couple of comps and see what it would be worth if it was already fixed up. And that way you set your highlight for your high end for the rehab cost. So if it's going for 130, but it says, you know, investor's dream or something in the ad, if you say, okay, let's say this property was on the high end of the market, it was 175, then you know you got about $45,000 worth of rehab, which might, you know, $35,000, $40,000 worth of actual rehab that you can do to the property to get it to that level. Does that make sense?
Okay, young lady in the white, stand up for a second, real quick. We got a project. Yeah. Okay, so now we get ready to do a preliminary feasibility analysis. Now, can everybody say that with me? Preliminary feasibility analysis. So, I'm your client. Now say that to me. Mr. Morgan. We're getting ready to do what?
Preliminary feasibility analysis.
That sounds so slick. I'm like, this lady is smart. Okay, so now, for real, and you gotta stay slick. You know what? People in the real estate business, they like shiny things. When the words come out your mouth, they're all shiny, they like it. But if you mumbling and stumbling and fumbling all over words, people starting to cringe. And then you didn't get a chance to clean your fingernails out and have a little dirt. I digress. All right. So now, you just brought a client to me, and that client project is worth $100,000. So now I want you to do, you're looking at this real house in your mind's eye. So what does the house need in your mind's eye? But we know the person is selling the house for $100,000. Okay, so in your mind's eye, what does this house need? Just throw some things out there.
New windows.
Okay, need new windows. We need 10 windows, right? We'll say 10 windows. 10 windows class, $500 a window, window install, material, labor, and it's capped. Everybody with me on that? Windows cost $5,000, right? Costs us 10 windows at $500 a pop. Okay, so our acquisition cost is what now again? $100,000. The comps in the area are what? 180, right? Everybody with me on this? So we got the client, I'm at the house. So you're doing your things as an agent. Oh, the windows ain't no good. So now what else is wrong with it? With a $100,000 house, so we got $5,000 worth of windows. What else we got? We go to the second floor and the roof is just caved all in, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we got a roof, we have 15,000. So we got 15 plus a 10, we have 25,000, right? So what, we got how much left? We did 125 so far. So how much we got left in this scenario? 55,000. What else we got in the house? New HVAC per floor with air conditioning, $7,500 a pop. So 75 is 15,000. We add 15,000, 125. We got 140. We got 140 now. We got 180 for the post rehab and the acquisition. We got $40,000 left. What else we got? We need new electric in the basement. We know what in the world is going on. The basement floor just ain't no good. And the plumbing is just bang. So now we need $1,500 per fixture. So we need 4 fixtures. They want the bathroom, kitchen sink, and a dishwasher. That's 5 fixtures per floor at $1,500. What is that, $7,000 or so? 15, 7, somewhere around 7,000. So 7 plus 7 is what? 14,000. We add that to the what? Already what? We had 140. We had 154.
What about that old kitchen that they've been?
We getting a little bit nervous because guess what? I wanted some nice kitchens and granite countertops, Mr. Morgan. We just got knocked right out of that deal because those kitchen counters, they're $10,000 for the kitchen cabinets and the countertop. That's $20,000 added to our loan. We were at 155, so we at 175 now. Plus, we get allowable fees. She watched HGTV and she wants those walls removed on both floors. Both the floors. And we got $5,000 architectural costs. Added to that for allowable fees plus my fees of $1,750 for the 5 drawers. Whoa, this deal ain't moving. Now, Mr. Benny, like, can y'all talk to the seller to say, can you give us some back toward acquisition? We can try to get that get it back drop 75,000. Everybody see how we did the analysis on the fly? Was I good?
Oh, yeah.
And in a nutshell, that's kind of all that the realtors mostly have to do to make sure that this kind of process, either you spend a little bit of time on something that won't work or you got something that's going, you know, just kind of have an idea even before you really put any time into what's the highest it's going to be when everything is finished. Then you kind of set a rehab budget, then you make a quick one pass to see if it's even worth, you know, going through or
you show up and do this preliminary feasibility analysis. You got Dan on the phone. What else you say was bad? This stuff coming all out the floor, Mr. Moore. I mean, all out the floor. What kind of stuff you put your finger on it and touch it? But what I'm saying to you is you got to make this thing fun. You're playing Monopoly. So when you're doing things like this, when you develop these rules of thumbs, boom, 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 boom. You're not wasting your time anymore. And then you do the large numbers. Bring them in there, you drop them off, you go back out there and get another one. And then me and Mr. Burley fight about what's going on with all of that stuff. You got to go get another client because you're like Solozzi, Edison, Ford, or Chevy. You do high volume real estate deals. You didn't did 10 that people was passing up on because you didn't get all 203Ks there in the hopper. And you got 10 people, the centers of influence now, bringing you deals for the rest of your life. Where you're eating good in the neighborhood. Everybody with me on that? You got to build your book of business. Real estate ain't a one-hit wonder. I'm making me one sale and I'm gone. We want that same beautiful young lady walking with that clipboard helping us too. Y'all with me on this? You got to look good when you're up in there selling those houses. And you got to talk good. And you got to have that one fingernail cannot be dirty. You know, that one when you always scratch your head. It can't be. Everybody checking their fingernail. Next slide, please. So we gotta be students of what we're doing. Types of eligible improvements, any repair, improvement, modification, modernization, adding value to and or improve property are acceptable to ODK loans. And the improvement must comply with HUD minimum property standards and local codes and ordinances and stuff like that. So what do we mean by that? Again, we're in this basement and the ceiling is high. And you talking about I'm gonna put a kitchen in the bathroom down here. I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. Now you can put that in the loan. Now we want to use this as occupancy. So we're going to get our basement floor underpinned and underskirted. We can drop that basement floor. I got to do it for my son. I got to drop this basement floor in order for that to have occupancy status. Then people up in here running gas pipe all through the house and ductwork all through the house. You got a big old space heater right there in the living room. Are we allowing that? This ain't the 60s. We get a pot of water on there making the thing as a humidifier. We ain't doing that one for the FHA. Everybody with me on that? If there's a basement, and we talking about we got 2 big bedrooms, and guess what? The basement got the ceiling height, 7 feet 6 inches. The ceiling height. Guess what? Are we gonna still be able to put a apartment down in that basement? It's only one door. Ah, there's no egress front and back. So can you still do that with only one front door? Yeah, you can, but you gotta have egress windows. It's gotta be big enough 5 by 5 for the fireman to come to that whole room with all his gear on and save your life. Otherwise, they'll tell you sign this waiver because this ain't no bedroom down here. And then some of you agents out here, it's an 8-bedroom house, 5 bedrooms in the basement. It is not an 8-bedroom, it's a 3-bedroom house. And people got this on the MLS, it's below grade. The appraisal coming in, I'm coming up in there, I'm gonna shatter your dreams. That dog ain't gonna hunt. And well, this is worth all of this or whatever, it's not. So don't waste your time being slick. Just be a student, okay? Next slide. Typical types of eligible improvements: repair, replace roof, gutters, and downspouts, replace and repair HVAC systems, the plumbing, electrical, flooring, kitchen. This is where you got to be real tricky too in these apartments. If the tiles are 6 by 6s, everybody knows tiles are 12 by 12s, right? If it's a 6 by 6, it's 100% got asbestos in it. 100%. That's part of your underwriting. These 6 by 6 tiles. How are we going to treat this? If you scrape it up, guess what? That asbestos became friable. When it means friable, that means it's going to emit dust in the air. That's going to get on your clothes. You're going to go home and wash your clothes, and then you're going to give everybody in your family asbestos poison. COPD. For real, that's a real live thing. And if you got a boiler, an old boiler in the house, it's probably got pipe wrapped with asbestos. If you're working in Rogers Park in that area around there, the siding, you'll see why these houses are so beautiful. And they got the siding, old siding on the house. It's got asbestos in it. You got to cover up the neighbor's house next door and the next door to that on the left and on the right, and then you can take it off. And then you got to take it to a proper site to get rid of it. That's why we'll make ours work, or we'll just go over it. The best way to do an asbestos floor is to roll it right over with epoxy paint, and you're good to go. Most of the CHA housing units get asbestos on the floor. They do. You just roll right over it and you're good to go. Everybody with me on that? So there's hazards in the garage. There's a lot of asbestos hazards in garages. So again, we got to make sure we're properly dispensing of that hazardous waste. And that's got to be all part of our what? Starts with an S. SOR. Specification of repairs. What's the BR? They get a little pumped now. They see that lunch over there. I'm gonna raise my hand now. I can get a sandwich in a minute. Weatherization, painting, exterior and exterior paint is big time. If your paint is peeling, chances are the hood appraiser is gonna like, so no go. Unless we get it in the specification of repairs. We're addressing that. If refrigerators, dishwasher, appliances, freestanding ranges, we can't do any built-in type ranges and things like that. That's a luxury item, if you will. It's like a restaurant grade, whatever. We go to the next slide. Yeah, go ahead.
So let's say you want to build in stuff, can you do everything except by the actual range? I mean, have the actual range as far as the rehab and put it in later?
Can they see that?
Somebody
I don't know everything.
also asked, does a below grade bedroom count?
No, it does not, unless you're just down there doing your things like a little den or something like that, but it's not counting as a bedroom. No, don't do it. Don't want to. So everybody with me on that? Let's go to the next slide, please.
And are we
Go ahead.
taking a
Yeah,
break?
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. They had another question.
Oh, yeah, the online folks are asking, is there gonna be a 5 or 10 minute break?
Would y'all like a 5 or 10 minute break? Okay, we can get a 5 or 10 minute break. There's a store right down the street. They sell apples. Teacher, apple, all go together. You take a bathroom break. Like,
Yeah.
here's a hey, I'm digging that.
Like a 15-minute break.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
You want to take a lunch break?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lunch break.
Yeah.
Okay, 10 minutes, guys.
10 minutes for lunch.
Right. And if you
No,
got-
no, you still get
I'll
to
give you
eat. She's just gonna get back started so we can get you out of here.
Yeah, we wanna get you in and out.
Yeah, 10-minute break.
I got painting and drywall to do.
Now, when do you work in the west suburb area?
I'm working wherever you call it. Then I need you out here.
Danny,
I'm coming. Yes.
water.
Thank you.
Do you want ham or chicken sandwich?
You're making 180.
Girl, do you want ham or chicken?
Wait. Anybody have any questions? Or, something y'all want to discuss while y'all was doing something else or something that I can maybe answer?
That's it. Is it mandatory that a lender vets? I'm going to put a knife in right now. Is it mandatory or highly suggested that a lender vets the contract?
It's mandatory because here's what's going to happen. Let's say we don't vet a contract and it doesn't work out. Two things gonna happen. Number one is you're gonna say the lender should have the lender should have vetted them.
5,000 maximum. FHA 203K standard is 5,000.
Oh, let me let everybody else know that we're back. So
Okay.
We're back, guys.
We made a snafu. Remember we said you got to start the streamline. You got to start at 5,000. I was wrong. It's 0. Stand corrected. So you can go from 0, but don't tell me why you want $1 rehab or if you want to get some bugs. Anything like that, they're gonna charge you all these fees for bugs. The maximum is always limited by the lesser of the borrower's approval limit. FHA maximum mortgage limits for the area are 110% of the approved appraised value. We can't say that enough. So the first thing you're gonna do is what? You're gonna leave the house with what in your hand? Comps. If you work in the city, before you get the comps, the first thing you're gonna do is go to the internet and find the code violations. If you work in the municipality, call the building department and find out about the code violations, because the code violations transfer to the new owner if they're not addressed. And that's horrible. To get a new house and get a plumbing problem and all these violations transfer to you because your attorney didn't do a good job. Everybody with me on that? If you're working in the city, first thing you go, yes, ma'am. We're not leaving it to the title company because one, we don't want to waste our time, because what if it don't close? You get all the way to the finish line and it didn't close because of this little bit of issue. So now you wasted your time, your client wasted their time, so did the bank. So if we're doing proper underwriting ourselves in the field, what we want to do is just do our due diligence. It takes 5 seconds to check. Yes, sir.
Should they do that on the initial thing or after it looks like it's gonna work?
Day one, when you look at it's gonna work.
How do you find it though, Brian?
You can, if you, for the city of Chicago, you can go right online and put the address in. It'll tell you the code violation.
Otherwise, it's like.
In the Cook County.
Right.
The Freedom of Information Act and other municipalities, I didn't realize.
Yeah. And you just call your building department. Whether you live in Elmhurst, you live in Valparaiso, whatever, just call the building department. They will tell you that. Check those code violations and check permits. And here's the for a person living in the city, working in the city. If you go to a freshly rehab building and everything's just looking good, and then you do the research and ain't no permits been pulled. You know what I call that? Lipstick on a pig. Because listen, you don't want that one. They'll happen with no oversight. They just work in electricity. 90% of the rehabs I go to, I stand on the toilet and I do the floss, like Ever Ready Barney. That little deal, if that toilet is gonna wiggle on the floor, 2 things is gonna annihilate your house. You would never think that it does. One, if the gutters are acting as a flower pot. When you pull up to a building and there's stuff growing out of the gutters, like flowers and weeds, you got a big problem down in that basement. If you pull up to that building and you go in that building and then you do the floss on that toilet and it's wobbling, urine will destroy those pipes. When it's going down the pipes, it's fine, but when they get to the outside of the pipes, it'll disintegrate. The acid level of urine is unbelievable. So a gutter with flowers and a wobbly toilet, you want to get those things corrected. Okay? That's your field underwriting that you're doing. And I'm going to digress a little bit. When you first go into a home, You bring as many people you want to in a home inspection as you possibly can and turn the water off the basement, first floor, second floor. Because you're not doing cameras to the sewer. But if you turn that water on and it fills up those drains in 15 minutes, you got a bad drain. You're gonna be home taking a bath and you're gonna be having one of those cowgirl moments, and your nice bath is gonna turn to a mud bath.
Ew.
It's coming right up through the back, to the drain. And I digress, but I will get back to what I was talking about. So, no, the maximum is always limited by the lesser or borrower amount, but wait till you get the loan and we'll talk about that in depth. Next slide. Okay, the oversight and inspection. According to HUD, for the standard and full 203K version, all work must be inspected by the 203K consultant, that would be me, or the FHA appraiser prior to the contractor receiving each draw or down payment. And what we're basically saying is, I want to inspect the job per the work write-up, the specification of repair. Remember I said the drain is bad, we got to fix that. We got 3 bathrooms we got to address, so I'll put the plumbing takeoffs on there. $1,500 for the rough and the finish per line. So if a person needs a new bathroom, you can start by saying each fixture, the toilet is a fixture, the sink is a fixture, the lavatory, each one of those fixtures on a new construction is $1,500 for the rough end and the trim out. The rough end meaning we're going to rough the stuff that you can't see behind the walls, and the trim is the stuff you can see once you're done. Everybody with me? So the rough, you got to put the closet flange on for the urinal and all that other business. That's all the rough. You can't see that when we put the flooring on and all that. And the trim is the sink being put in, the toilet, and that sort of thing. The rough and the trim takes care of all of that. Now, that's got to be inspected per the 203K consultant and FHA appraiser. So based on my report, the appraiser's coming in there and saying, wait a minute, I only see 2 bathrooms and there's 3 bathrooms that we got to address. So he'll ask me to put that back on my SOR. So there's oversight. They might gotta just feel so bad for people like, wow, they ain't gonna get this property. And I might have leave something off intentionally, which was a bad way to do business. The appraiser caught it every time. And he just did it, and I had the choice and the deal fell through. Trying to be the savior. So I got out of that practice real quick. And my thing is, when I inspect stuff, I'm inspecting it. And if the city haven't signed off on it, I ain't signing off on it either. I don't care if it looks good to me. I'm not signing nothing unless you got that permit and the city signed off on it. I'm passing the liability on to them. Make my job real easy. Next slide, please. What is a contingency reserve? A contingency reserve is anywhere from 10 to 20% of the repair and renovation amount, and its purpose is to pay for any potential cost overruns and or unexpected repairs item. Chances are, every 203K job, I've never seen the money go back to the bank. The contingency always get used. Because you just want to say, oh, wow, I want to add this little backsplash or this or that or whatever. And for health and safety reasons, to make you feel good, I'm adding a backsplash. That's why I put in a little thing, change order, add a backsplash. However, if a person wants to come in there and start chewing on your contingency day one, and most contractors do, I'm gonna frown on that. Do your job, and then we worry about that stuff later. Because I've done a thorough enough job, you ain't got no contingency problems with no plumbing or no electricity because I want it all new. So what contingency do you got? None. And if you don't quit asking for contingency money, you're gonna find yourself unemployed. You're harassing the client. Because some of these guys are tough. And I just had a person tell me the contractor tear your house up and just so you can keep them in there. Well, before you tear your house up, I'm coming to see why he didn't tore it in the first place. And dude, you're gonna get to walking, get to stepping. This is where I don't play around. I really, really don't. I tell a lot of jokes, but I do not fool around with people's houses are upside down. That's some goofy contractor. Next slide, please. A HUD approved consultant, that would be me. FHA 203K standard full is required. And 203K streamlined, it is not required. For $35,000 or less, it is not required unless your bank tell you it's required. I've seen banks, and it wasn't even structural in nature, and they told them you need a consultant. We ain't gonna, yes ma'am.
Do you work with all lenders then?
I do.
Okay.
Home Depot, Loan Depot, But the Home Depot type of lender, guarantee rate and everything. And so I trained myself with Home Depot, for real. But I work with all lenders, and I'm not saying that disparaging with Earl and Derek and Melanie. However, when you become pretty decent of a guy, people want to start using your expertise.
So the consultants, are they assigned by the lender, or you could pick your own?
You can pick your own consultants. And a lot of people say, well, geez, my lender told me to use this guy. I beg your pardon. The lender told you what? Well, tell your lender you're using Danny. Okay? And I've done that on a lot of occasions. Well, I know what I'm going to do for your job, and I'm going to bring it to fruition. And I'm not going to disparage any consultants or home inspectors or any contractors. But I do know when my team takes on your project, you're going to get finished. Period. Another thing I tell people to do as a contractor, answer your damn phone. So what you overpromise, answer your damn phone. I've been in business for a long time. You will never hear one client ever say, Dan didn't answer his phone. You'll never hear one real estate agent saying, I can't reach him. You'll never, ever hear that. And I've been behind a lot of times. I'm just behind. It's just so easy to tell the truth. I'm behind. I'm human. Like the lady just called and told me, one of me and Earl's clients, Danny, you said you was, I'm behind. And I'm human. You know, you should get your Christmas present, but I'm behind right now. So we'll catch up. So for the streamline, it's not required, but if the bank wants it, they'll recommend it. Next slide, please. Okay, borrower's labor versus general contractors. Can I do work on my FHA loan? Answer, yes. Subject to the borrower's approval. Answer, no. You ain't self-performing nothing in the 203K, not anymore. And here's one of the reasons why there's a liability issue to the contractor. If I'm the contractor, you ain't touching nothing until I tell you to. I'm done. Because I'm liable up to $1 million. And right now, I don't feel like giving you part of my bread on my insurance. And you in there stepping on nails, you the homeowner, but guess whose job site it is? Little old me. And so I'm liable for you stepping on the nail in your home.
Here's another more practical reason. So you're a contractor, that's how you make your money, right? So now you're gonna do self-help on your work, but you use the income from being a contractor to qualify. So how can you do your job and make income to make the money you use to qualify if you're spending your working hours working on your house?
Can't do it. And so we frown on that. And so any decent contractor is not gonna let you turn a screw on his job site. But I got a couple, well, like, man, you told me this is my house, I can do what I want. No, it ain't. This is the bank-owned property. It ain't yours after 30 years. For real. It's like, contractor certification question, does HUD or FHA require 203K contractors to be certified? No such thing. I got a certified 203K a contractor. No, you do not. Because HUD ain't certifying nobody but HUD consultants and homeowner counselors. Everybody with me on that? There's no such thing as a certified 203K contractor. However, you can be certified to do that job or this job, particularly job to job. But you may be certified to do the job here, but uncertified to do the job next month. One, you may not be liquid enough to do a $300,000 job because you can't get that off the ground. I got a guy right now, he just now gutted the house after 12 months. Wait, dude, what are you doing? Then I need a draw. No, you need to have some sense. Ain't no draw, you ain't even got a permit. Come on, quit calling me. And he thinks I'm a jerk. Unbelievable. So neither HUD nor FHA certifies or approves, endorses remodel contractors. There is no such thing as a remodeling or general contractor being an FHA approved contractor for the FHA 203K loan. Remember that. You gotta come with those credentials. Just don't hire him, period, because he's lying to you day one. Contractor certification. Oh, we just read that. Next slide, please. How does a contractor involved with the FHA loan program, 203K loan program? The consumer/borrower is responsible for approving, selecting, and hiring whichever contractor he or she wants. There cannot be any conflict of interest between the consumer borrower and the contractor. No family relationship, no financial relationship. Everybody put me on that. Uncle Steve gonna do my house. No, Uncle Steve ain't. Well, Uncle Steve does, you know, it's kind of disheartening though, a little bit. Because you got a person that might be really, really, really good at this work thing. And I want to hire Uncle Steve. But Uncle Steve ain't liquid. Uncle Steve doesn't have a EPA lead certification. Uncle Steve ain't got nothing but some know-how and a hammer. A 16-ounce straight claw hammer. That's all Uncle Steve got. He can't do the job. Uncle Steve now Uncle Steve can come by and tell somebody he's doing it wrong, but we can't have Uncle Steve doing your job. So blood, I want to do my son's house. I can't. Oh, yes, I am. You're doing another type of law.
So in layman's terms, can you walk us through this, because what I'm not understanding.
Let's start walking.
I know, right? So you get, I don't know, $300,000.
Okay.
That's what they're loaning you.
Okay.
And you're gonna use, I don't know, like, is there a cap, or like, you're using $75,000 to rehab it or whatever?
Right. Okay.
So walk me through, how does this work? Because does guaranteed rate fund that money?
Guaranteed rate is going to fund that money, and Dan is going to look after that money for guaranteed rate.
So
the part of that money is going to go to an escrow account, and we're going to give you a draw as you progress through the renovation. So you get a $20,000 draw today, and then now we only owe you $55,000. We'll give you another $25,000 draw. Now we owe you $35,000, and we give you another $20,000, and we only $15,000. But then they'll keep 10% of each one of the draws until you're finished, and then you'll get the 10% holdback, and then you're complete. But if the draws and if the draw, you want to draw, and you got your permit, and the work is done right, and the city has signed off per that permit, you get in the draw per that 75,000 in increments, and you can get up to 5.
But just to be more specific, we're gonna lend you the money to the purchase of the house and the rehab. When
So
you
how does
close,
that's what I'm not understanding, because let's say I want to buy a house and I want to fix it, right?
Right.
how much is the house?
Okay, let's say it's 150.
Okay.
Right, and I want to flip it, whatever.
Can't flip it.
Will not flip it.
You'll live there.
See, that's what I want, that's what I need to know.
Oh, that's why owner occupied, FHA is only occupied property.
Okay, so
Okay.
see there we go.
Okay.
Right.
So, okay, now the thing is, so.
How much
I
rehab?
bought it for 150,
How much
did I
rehab?
already close on it?
No, how much rehab you want to do on it?
Well, I don't know, whatever.
Well, let's say,
$100,000.
let's say 100,000. So Danny's gonna come out there, do an SOR for 100,000.
Right.
For 100,000, you're gonna get a contract, you're gonna sign off on it.
Right.
Then the appraiser's gonna go out there and verify the property worth at least 250.
Right.
Then you're gonna continue with the loan process. Then you're gonna go to the closing table. At closing, the seller's gonna get his 150, and that other 100 is gonna go in an account at guaranteed rate. And then your contractor's gonna start working on it. And as the contractor progresses, Dan's gonna go out there and see he did some of the work, and he's gonna give him pieces of that money. And then when he gets finished, he gets all the rest of it.
Okay, so you do own the property.
Right. And your rehab money and at closing, your rehab money, you get your rehab money at closing too. So it's a done deal at closing. All you have to do is get it finished.
Got it.
And we-
Okay, that's what I'm.
Right. And we hold on to the cash because we don't want unsavory contractors to get 75,000. Now I'm splitting the
I
scene.
just had a guy, but he like freaked out and flipped out because it was a hot mess. Just a lot of things, and he got scared.
This is why contractors freak out. Everybody ready for this? Why the contractors freak out? I'm over my head and I can't do this one. That's all it is. When he stopped answering your calls and things like that, don't even keep calling because it's over his head. Yeah, but if he got some of your bread, he ain't coming back though.
No, but the money that you're giving him, he's already done the work.
He's already earned it.
He's already earned it. So then you can hire another contractor that can pick up where you left off
Right.
at. But he's not gonna get like $50,000, and do $10,000 for demolition and then hit the road.
Now, guess what? What if he inflate what he's done? I've done 50% of this and 80% of that and 20% of that. And I beg your pardon, you done 50% of what? All I see is 2 2x4s standing up on the side of the wall. So you've done nothing. You ain't even getting paid for that. So first of all, I know I'm involved with somebody pretty foolish from day one, I'm gonna send them home. And again, during your vetting process, we're gonna make sure you get the right people on your job, period.
So they have to spend their money up front.
They do.
On a 203K standard, on a 203K limited, they can get up to half up front.
Right.
That's the same as a streamline?
It is a
Yeah,
streamline.
that's a streamline. It's now called a limited.
See, exactly, that is a little dangerous. So for me to tell you what I would say to you, you better call a HUD consultant anyway.
That's I'm sorry. That's one of the reasons that somebody asked, do lenders vet? That's one of the reasons the lenders vet. So you can't be 100% certain that somebody's not gonna run off with your money, but we try to take as many boxes as we can by vetting them to make sure that if they do run after your money, that's way the exception as opposed to something that's likely to happen.
Right.
Is it because the lenders aren't, they're not in the business of running the project anyways, right?
Right, we're just in the business of lending money, so we want as many.
The HUD consultant and the contractor agree, and you guys have to approve.
Well, wait, here's the thing. You're not, most people in this room are not general contractors and home inspectors, so they don't know what 20% of the work looks like.
Exactly.
And then you don't necessarily know if it's doing right. And then again, you got some borrowers that are overly picky and they want something done a certain way and it might be done right. So you want a referee that's going to be fair to you and the contractors. So Danny's that referee.
Right.
So the consultant constantly checks up on the property.
Constantly. There was a newscaster called Diane Burns. You remember the black lady? She's not working in Chicago for, she had a renovation project. This is the reason why she's not on Channel 7 News anymore. She had a property being done in Lincoln Park. The floors that she bought was wood. And what do we know about marble, wood, and all those sort of things? It's a natural product. So on marble, it may have some veining over here, and it may not have veining over here. Might have white veining, may not have any veining. Wood is not all the same color all the way through. And she got so pissed off and told the contractor, why ain't the wood matching? And he said, what? Why ain't the wood? And she sued the man. The man sued her back, and then he got her defamation of character. It got real nasty. She started harassing the guy, and he started calling her employer, which was Channel 7. They didn't extend her contract. Unbelievable. And so again, you got to have people with their expectations. You've done your job as the agent. That's my job now. And my favorite word, man, you trip. Yes,
What's the contract, like once you're actually closed, how important would you say it is for an agent to continue to check in on the project once it's closed?
You should leave that alone. That's my pet peeve. Agents start getting in the way of themselves. They look clipboard and they're coming in looking beautiful. And no, already. Oh, I hear a bunch right over here. They walking around. They walking around and flipping and turning and taking things off. And get the glamorous little jewelry on. You know why? Go sit down somewhere. And I'm sitting.
That makes a suggestion. It'll be great. You know, a lot of times the best thing that you can do to promote yourself is a successful project. So it doesn't hurt to go there halfway through, take a few pictures. You know, you got before, doing, and after pictures of a project that you were, a 203 project that you were the realtor on that turned out well. Is nothing like a successful project to be able to show somebody. Yes, I was a realtor on this. I'll make sure that my client got a good property, that they got good people, and then I let everybody do their job, and this will turn out.
Right, but don't start inserting yourself on something that ain't in your wheelhouse. You're supposed to be out while you're in there twirling and turning. You want to get some new clients, we can do another 2 or 3K, and they do be turning. Behave. Timeline is 6 months. All projects, even if we change in the cabinet, 6 months. Do contractors go over that limit all the time? Yeah, I'm over my limit by about 8 months right now. Because I started doing too much. I started working on other parts of the house. I needed 10 windows for the top floor. I just put windows all the way through, all the way down to the basement. I had a new siding to the part that was redid, and I just redid all the old house. And the wood in my house is 137 years old. So I did a restoration while I was doing a rehabilitation. Damn, it looks good. I mean, it just does. Because it's caulked in tightly in the whole 9 yards, because you gotta have pride in your work. And you can tell when a contractor has pride in his work. And so those things make your eyes all glee and glow and stuff like that. You know when you got competent people around you. And here's the best way to know if you got somebody competent on your team. If your stomach don't start hurting, you got a good project going. But if you get those spider senses tingling a little bit, follow through on what your body is telling you. This ain't gonna go right.
But more than likely, if you're doing a streamline, it probably only takes.
I do
25,000, 30,000.
Any 25,500 job for me that I'm doing, I want to be for in 2 weeks. I ain't trying to be there 2 or 3 months because I'm trying to get my guys in there. All you're gonna see is dust and then it's finished. I ain't trying to just be all year doing a streamline 20. And I don't even do 2 flats and 3 flats like that because I don't want to tear my business down like that. I got guys who I sit in there and they'll just tear it up and put it right back with no further ado. So you got to be very careful on the streamline though, because they're gonna give them half the money up front. Yes.
So all the work is started after closing?
Everything starts at the close.
30 days.
No, about 3 or 4 days. 3 days after closing, they can get there, get the keys, and have at it.
You got to release the money to draw comes.
They may not have the money, but the money will be there in about
Well,
5
like
to 7
I
days.
said, if you're doing a 203K limit standard, you're not getting any money up front. So the sooner you get started, the sooner you can get some of it.
Right.
And on a limited, you should be able to get that money within a week at the latest.
I have a question in regards to the refinance. So when you do the refinance for 200K versus a cash out refi, what is cheaper for the customer to do?
Well,
I mean, if you take a cash out refinance, then you can do with the money as you please because that's your money. Right. If you take a 203K, then you have all those guardrails in place of people looking after your money. Right. and making sure that the contractor does his work, the contractor is vetted, and all those sort of things. Right. So if you feel comfortable taking money out, hiring your own people, supervising your own job, great. But if you want like the guardrails in place to make it more likely that your job will be a success, somebody like Dan doing the bid, so that the contractor doesn't come in and say, I think we should do this, this, and this. And then he's cutting all the corners because he's doing it in a way that's not the way that the standard professional, as opposed to somebody like a 203K consultant doing a job in the way that a contractor is supposed to do it, and then giving it out to a contractor to bid on, as opposed to the contractor trying to specify how they're going to do it, what they're going to do it, and stuff like that. Then that's the difference.
You cash out your money and hire a contractor. You're gonna say, "Thank you, Merry Christmas," because he's gonna take your money. Mm-hmm. He is. I mean, he really. Even let me tell you something. You think Uncle Fred won't take your money? Think again.
But you can still get hired on separately versus the 203K, right?
You can get hired on separately.
As far as your services that you provide, like if somebody wanted to just have their cash out.
Let me tell you something. If you got $300,000 in your hand, and you said, "Danny, come over here and rehab my property," Danny gonna say no. You know the reason why? Because if I don't have any oversights in place, I ain't touching your house. Because what you're gonna do, and I'm not a male chauvinistic pig. I used to be, but I'm not anymore. But when women get this hand on this little few dollars, and they put their handbag up like this and start taking you through the house, you got a problem on your hand, dude. Because you got $29,000 and you want half the house rebuilt. So you got champagne money, you got beer money and champagne taste. But here's the other thing. When it comes down to that finish, you're gonna draw back on me. Like, why is that wood not matching? I don't want to go through that with you. If you don't know and you ain't been a student of why the wood ain't matching, because it ain't, you bought the wood from South Century Tile. I don't know why the wood ain't matching. It was all in the box and I put it down. So I ain't paying for that with your $300,000 in your hand. I'm just gonna pick up the bank, put the phone and call the bank, and I'm getting ready to I'm ready for arbitration, and I'm got a lien on your house. For real. This lady told me, look me dead in my face, a friend of mine who I helped get the house. House flooded, I did the water removal in the whole 9 yards. You know what she told me? I'm not paying you. You was a fool for doing it with no contract. Verbatim. My daddy said, you a fool. Well, when I got through with her and her daddy, you should see these texts. I just look at them for recreation. You can cuss me out, go down. I got my bread though. So I ain't as big a fool as you thought I was. Tell your daddy that. And boy, she was steaming after that. Because here's the thing. Can you hold a person liable if they do work without a contract? Can you still sue them? Yeah, the hell you can. You know how you can sue them? Because I didn't call you, you called me. And this was emergency. We had time to do no contract. You got emergency water backup coming to your basement. I told the insurance company, y'all got a few minutes to pay me my paper. I mean, just a few, not an hour, a few minutes, because I'm gonna be putting some paperwork on you. So I'm dead serious about that. When I do your job, it's gonna have oversight by insurance company or by a lender. Ain't gonna be no in between. That's my business model. And when you stray away from your business model, you got a problem. So even if you got 500,000 in hand, I just won the lottery. I don't want that job. I just do not. I'm not chasing dollars and stuff like that. So you did your cash out, like you're saying, the guardrails is down. So you ain't a contractor and you ain't a bank. You don't know how to give that money up for draws and stuff. I'm gone. I don't want nothing to do with that. It just,
Yeah, because it's gonna be a he said, she said.
it's gonna be a he said, she said. You know, you talk, and then
You this and no, you didn't.
and judges, when they see the ladies put their purses right there, they gonna rule against the contract everywhere. I don't know what that is. And the lady, anybody got a badge? Can they do that for me? Well, stand up, stand up. There you go. There you go. When the judge get out, it's over. You got me like that. Oh, we got a live one. The court gonna tell the judge. We got a live one in here today, Judge. For real. Yeah. So I digress. I gotta behave today. Okay. How does a contractor get involved with a 203K? We just went through that. I can't do your HUD consultant and be your contractor's conflict of interest. But I'll say, yeah, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. And by the way, I'm your contractor. I beg your pardon. You want to wear this new orange suit we got for you with your numbers across you right here? Yeah, we can't do that. Next slide. Neither can a home inspector do it either. The draw process, maximum two payments. That's not true. Oh, this is what, let me see, this is streamlined. So you get a payment up front of half the money, and then you get the other payment when you finish. I like to be finished with that first payment, so the last draw is mine, whatever. And then for the 203K standard, you get 4 draws. It's actually 5 plus the final. Or I want to make sure I got this right. It might be 4 draws plus the final, but it used to be 5 draws plus the final. But I think it is 5 draws plus the final because you get 6 months to complete it. So that's what it is. No upfront money to offset startup costs. Actually, that's kind of not true too. If you got a receipt saying you pay for the material, they'll give you 50% of the material upfront. So if you got to bought the wood, bought whatever else, and you just paid $10,000 for it, they'll give you a check for $5,000.
But you do get money for permits and things like, and maybe the permits and architectural fees.
You do.
You can't get that released up front.
You do. And draws paid in 90% of balance due. That means whatever your draw was, they keep 10%, and then 90% goes to the contract until you're done, and then they get that other 10%. Everybody with me on that?
Yeah. For the permits, you have to already have permits for it.
No, you got to send them a receipt for the permits, what you paid for them, and then they'll send you the check. That's not part of the draw or anything else like that either. The borrower will incur fees normally associated with the FHA loan. In addition, other costs may include origination fees charged by the 203K lender. That would be these guys here, Mr. Bailey and Melanie and Derek. They'll charge you some fees. It's not going to be much, but they're going to charge you some fees. Fees charged by the contractor and consultant, estimating inspections or re-inspections, etc. Slightly higher interest rate, 8 to 0.5% more than traditional FHA loans, and 10% to 20% renovation contingency reserve added to the loan amount. If the water's not on, the utility's not on, they're gonna probably give you a 15 to 20% contingency. And guess who they probably is? That would be me. Because I put the contingencies on, and until they'll tell me, well, you got to add another 5% contingency. what they doing, my little oversight and stuff like that. But that's for you for a reason, because you ain't got the water on, the gas ain't on. We turn all this water on and the pipes is popped on the inside, and gee, we didn't count for all that. Then we turn the gas on and we smelling gas through the whole house. And then we turn the water on and the damn pump that went crazy in the basement. I mean, the water just pumping. What in the world is going on down here? So we just want to add more to the contingency for that. Those are the costs and fees. And recent investors legislation question, can an investor use FHA 203K funds? No, actually, that's not true either. They can, but they got to be the homeowner.
Owner occupied.
They got to be owner occupied, but they title it as an investor. So the borrower must be primary residence. So that answer the question's been asked and it's been answered.
Can we really quickly, because I get this question all the time, does that include LLCs?
LLC is not an owner.
No.
The LLC is a business.
When you buying a house, consider yourself a sole proprietor. Everybody with me on that? If you start a business, you're a sole proprietor, you get sued, they suing you personally. But if I got an LLC or a subchapter S corporation, then I'm not getting sued. You're suing my corporation and I'm still rolling. Everybody with me? That's what contractors do. They get LLCs and contracts, you sue them, they file bankruptcy, and then boom, we up by a new name. There was a store back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s was notorious for doing that. That store was called Gold Blast. Gold Blast opened and closed every bit of 10 or 15 times in 55 years. For real. Somebody got sick of the corned beef they should sell, and they opened and closed again to another name. And I mean, they kept the name, but they started changing the paperwork on it. We're whatever, doing business as Gold Blast. So it was a DBA doing business as. It was real slick. I kind of dig it. Can I refund it? Well, don't y'all tell on me today.
1 second, they said they're frozen. Let me make sure that's not everybody.
I'm frozen. I am not frozen. What's the lady's name in Frozen?
Elsa.
I am not Elsa.
Okay, we're good.
We're good?
Okay.
Yes, question.
So all of the fees that are charged for you and for the lenders, are they added to the loan?
They're financed in with the rehab amount. So that's like for example, we said on the limited, you get 35, but you only go to 29. That takes care of all the other fees that might or might not be necessary for the to get it done. So typically you have a small title charge. You always have an FHA contingency fee. You might or might not have a contractor's fee and draw fee and then permits. So it nickels and dimes, and you got a court.
Yeah, and what we say in this business is baked into the cake. Say it with me, y'all. Baked into the cake.
Also,
every time he comes out, they pay.
Right, but that's all part of those fees. And also, let's say Dan comes out, you have to pay the upfront fee. That's part of your down payment. Because his money's been factored into the rehab cost. So look at the fee that you give him on the same way that you look at your earnest money.
Exactly. So if you got a $10,000 down payment and you pay me $1,000 to be your consultant, now you're gonna get to take $9,000 to close. Thereabout. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, step by step. Buyer, borrower select a knowledgeable real estate agent. Buyer and borrower select FHA approved 203K lender. That would be those guys. Buyer and borrower applies for the loan with those guys again, and buyer and borrower locates a home with you guys. And the buyer and borrower conducts a feasibility study with who?
You.
Y'all didn't even say that all together. One more time. The buyer and borrower conducts a feasibility study with who?
You.
I'm about to say with Dan.
With Danny.
With Dan. To study the property with their real estate agent and 203K consultant. This one, the real estate agent, this when you wear your bag and then start being pumpy. Because I'm in there with Danny, we doing a feasibility study. We'll get back to you in about an hour. Yes, Mr. Reed.
So should this be done? Should you still do a home inspection and the feasibility?
Excellent question.
Let me put that in the chat.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you repeat that question again, Mr. Reed? Baby, this is the number one question to be answered. I'm gonna give you the number one answer. Don't be telling your client use Dan for your home inspection the write-up in the, because they're two different things. I use a home inspection to chronicle the egregious nature of the property and to get your client some credits or bring that property down. Everybody with me on that? What is a home inspection for? To find the egregious nature of the property and bring the price down, right? The 203K write-up feasibility study is designed to specify what needs to be repaired per that home inspection and per what the consultant find out as well. Everybody with me? For example, you can have a roof on that's in really, really bad shape, but if the roof is not leaking, guess what? I don't gotta put that in the F. I'm gonna write that down. Your roof may have 1 year left, but as far as a HUD consultant report, the house met the minimum property standards because it ain't leaking. Feel me? So, and then I was in the drone up there to make sure the roof is intact, but they do two different things. And if you're a good real estate agent, you'll tell your client to get both. And now we'll charge, say for instance, $400 for a home inspection, and the consultant is what it's supposed to be, $1,000 maybe. That's $1,400. Do I know that these people are being strapped for cash? Yeah, I'll help them. I'll probably do the whole thing for $1,100. No, that sounds kind of funny, but I'm basically doing a home inspection for $100. I am. Why is that important? Because I want to make sure my client has every fighting chance to have a level playing field for this transaction to go through. But here's what I learned about being a teacher. These poor little kids need some shoes. I'm going to buy some shoes. These poor little kids need something to eat. I'm going to buy something to eat all the time. These kids, if you just coddle a person too much, then you ruining that person. So what? You got to pay $1,100 or $1,400. You buying a house. So what? That's a usual and customary fee. So if you're not ready for that, you need to get out the game. Because don't come think I'm Section 8 for the subsidized your transaction. I'm in business to make money. You ain't going to Sears and say, can you give me these jeans? Well, I want the jeans and the blouse. Well, can you give me the blouse for free with your purse right here? They're going to throw you out of security. I'm going to call security on you too. Don't be telling your guy he going to give you that free, girl. Don't worry about that.
Sound like one quick now.
I sound like who? Let me tell you something. I didn't become a high school dropout for nothing. I worked real hard at that. And you know something though? When you tell a person what the fees are and you straight up about it, they're gonna be happy to pay it. Because it's like you running a race. I came in at a hurdle and I got over it. I ain't here for lowering no hurdles. That ain't what my job. My job is to provide you some information with integrity and make you an informed buyer. Now, if that don't mean nothing to you and it don't cost, I don't know what else to tell you. But my fees, I gotta get another one of these for another set of y'all. And it is. And so would you tell a person, well, I'll pay Manny's fees, I'll help you with that. I ain't never heard nobody say that. Did anybody ever say that as an agent? I'll help you pay your appraisal. Y'all didn't help nobody make a appraisal. So why are you trying to subsidize my baby? Don't do that. You gotta pay the fees.
Should this happen before or after you get a property on the county?
When I show up in the F-150, where am I expecting class? Oh, say it with me. I'm expecting a check. Y'all better have it come for your client. I'm expecting a check. When the F-150 roll up, oh, daddy want to get a check. Sure do. Because I'm getting ready to go to work. And I'm getting ready to make you look good as an agent. I'm really going to make you look good. And I put a little humor in there, but I'm damn good at what I do. I am. I really, really am. And you're gonna look good as a result of Danny being on the team. Trust me. And if not, you say, well, Danny, you didn't do a good job. I need my money back. I'll give it to you. For real. When I ask for it back, you better have it. These are quarter piece. You want
Can they hear us?
Apparently not.
Kind of start going away. That's pretty much, feel free to call, any one of us up here to ask any kind of question. I think we're all pretty knowledgeable. And if you guys have a few more questions, a few more minutes, we have some guaranteed rate polo shirts and some chargers. And if you guys want to ask a couple of easy questions that if you're paying attention to it, like I know you were, you'll be able to easily get them and get a couple of, party gifts.
And don't forget our online members, they have classes too. They've been waiting patiently as well.
Okay. So remember, what is Danny gonna pay for the first person to bring his a 203K to fruition? I said $400. $400. That's $200. Unless y'all go take the two and the counterfeit.
I'm gonna go like this with my bag and you won't get $400.
Oh, you know what though? You gotta stand up and do that right. Now stand up and do that right. No, you gotta twist that little foot. There you go. I love it.
Did everybody sign in so that you get credit for today? Did everybody sign in? Okay.
Is that all the time?
Everybody got it? Because we got to send you your card to go with your purse.
This is a Morphe charger. Morphe, 15 hours of battery life.
Damn, I need that right now.
Oh, you can push it down, girl. Push.
Huh?
Or is that a prize?
Right, they'll give you a prize. Answer these questions.
Right.
Oh,
yeah. Okay, so y'all got to get ready. You're going to read the questions real quick for the gift. Go ahead, mister. Okay.
What's up first?
No, whatever. No, first,
This we'll figure it out.
Just raise your hand. Just raise your hand. First hand up first.
And if you want a T-shirt, and we don't have your, I'll get it to you.
Okay.
Okay. What is the max repair limit for a 203K limited?
Whoa, that's it.
Well, he had his hand up too. So,
he had her hand up first.
About first hand up, family views.
Okay. Charge your T-shirt.
Next question. Everybody ready? How many units can you finance with an FHA 203K loan?
Mr. Reed.
1 to 4.
We'll take that.
Share the chart. You want to share the chart? Follow it.
How many more charges you got?
Well, we ain't got like 50 more questions.
Watch it for the hand. Watch it for the hand.
Ready for the next question? Are FHA and 203K loan limits the same?
Over there.
We have two hands right here, so.
Patrice Kelly got it too.
No, the answer is no.
I'm answering the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
What's the answer?
I said no.
Sorry.
Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going here right here.
Wait a minute.
Yes or no question.
Okay, our FHA and 203K loan limits the same.
Just to recap, an FHA 203K is an FHA loan limit. Like I said, whatever you qualify for an FHA loan for, you all
So the
qualify
answer would
for
be yes.
pretty much essentially a 203K loan.
She said yes. She said yes.
T-shirt or a charger.
What size charger are they? What size charger?
These are Android. If you want to, but if you want an Apple, I might be able to find it.
Okay.
Okay, next question. Can you replace the electrical system?
Hold on.
Can you replace the electrical system with 203K limited? Hands went down. What's up, Danny?
She was up, then she put it down.
No, it's like this.
Okay, so we're going back here in the back then.
Go.
We're sitting back right here with the glasses.
Yes. Electrical, yes.
Patrice also answered too.
Everything is right. I thought it was everything structural.
Non-electrical.
Well,
Our online person answered first, technically.
Okay, then,
We have 15 people that are online.
Okay, so-
Gary got the answer.
did she give us the right answer?
Yes.
Who was that person?
Patrice Kelly.
Come on, get it.
Hey, Patrice, what you want, Patrice?
Patrice, what do you want? You want the charger or a t-shirt? She said charger.
She wants a charger.
You got a charger.
Now I'm actually, I'm in the next one, so I might want to charge
Y'all don't want one of these nice guarantee red polo shirts?
Next question.
She needs an Apple one.
Next question.
Next question.
Okay, so here's what happens. It's typically there's a structural issue that'll alleviate you having to use a, well, if it's structural, you definitely need a, but it's up to the discretion of the lender. If that's a heavy permanent item for the electrical, you ain't gonna be able to do it. So if it's an involved permit, then they want you to do it.
If your electrical's not on, the answer is probably no.
That's what it put it.
It was kind of a trick question, but kind of the person here to learn.
Right.
So and then let you know that everything isn't black and white.
Exactly.
But
Next
I give you
question.
one anyway.
All right, next question. Do you always need a 203 consultant on a 203K loan?
Do you
Right
always
here.
need a 203K?
No.
203K consultant on a 203K loan is the
She
question.
answered the question.
Who got it already?
Right here, this young lady right here.
Shirt or charger?
Nicole also answered.
Nicole answered.
Well,
Nicole,
we can put her name down. We can.
yeah. Nicole, what do you want? A t-shirt or a charger?
A polo shirt or charger?
Polo shirt or
Polo shirt or a
charger?
charger? Okay, so we got a couple more?
Here's the last one, it's a bonus question.
Just get a shirt on the charger.
Okay. What is the percentage of repairs on a Fannie Mae home style loan?
What is the
Percentage
percentage?
of repairs. on a
What is the
Fannie Mae
percentage
Male
of repairs
and,
on
Mr.
a
Scott
home
here.
style loan?
Okay, go ahead, Mel.
Like you're saying, the percentage of like 49 and 51?
No.
No,
Okay,
no.
so remember at the end I said that we also have a Fannie.
No, let's finish. You know the
Fannie Mae
answer?
home style loan program.
How much?
Oh.
No.
No. Okay, so a Fannie Mae home style is a different version. So that's why I'm giving you.
Conventional.
Because this is just something you just know.
What's that?
75?
Hold on, I need the question. I need the question.
75.
Hold on, give me-
75?
What was the
Yeah,
question again?
75.
What was the question again?
She got it.
Because we touched on it.
Yeah, they said they
She cheated too.
What's the, I need the question for the online people.
So she won.
Okay, so you know how like on the 203K loan, you're on the limited, you're limited 35%. And then on a regular 203K loan, you're not limited at all. On a Fannie Mae home style, which is the conventional version of it, you're limited to 75% of the after appraised value
Right.
of your rehab amount. I know that we didn't teach that by Mr. Paul.
She got it. She got it, and then we got somebody on the line. Did they get it?
They didn't get anything. I need the question re-asked so that they understand what's going on.
To our
We missed
virtual
that.
audience.
Yeah.
Maybe give them a separate one so that the class, all weeks are gonna hear quick, so maybe just put a couple of
Right. Yeah, don't throw this question out. We throw this out to the online. Go ahead, Eric.
Okay.
You are number 2.
Mhm.
Okay. How many units can you finance with 203K?
How many? I thought we asked that one.
Yeah, no, we did. We just trying to do this
Oh, no,
online.
they answered that one.
Oh, they answered that
They already
already.
got a winner for that one.
Okay.
You got to make up to you.
Okay, here you go. What, this is for the online person. What do you do first in terms of Danny, when you bringing your client out to review a property? What's the first thing we ask you to do?
Comp.
Who, the first comp? The first
The
comp
first
that
comp,
does.
Ariana won.
Ariana won.
You want a t-shirt or a charger? Charger.
Charger. Ariana, we gotta write Ariana down for a charger.
Online, I mean, do one more for them.
Okay, one more for you guys.
How many units can you do with Fannie Mae home style as an investment?
How many units can you do with a Fannie Mae home style on an investment property?
1.
Up to 4, says Ariana.
Yeah.
No.
Patrice says she never heard the information.
Oh,
What was the question?
For home style?
Yeah.
Earl didn't talk that much.
He did. We're not gonna give him that. Is everybody ready to go?
only,
Everybody enjoy themselves?
only 1.
So I go, what's the max repair limit for 203K?
What's the max? So skip that question. What is the max repair limit for 203K loan?
Denarius Reed, how do I say it?
Dennis Reed.
Dennis Reed. You got that gift
She
card.
won one for the charger, Earl.
It's Amazon. Okay. next
360,
person.
Ariana said.
Angela.
No, it's not 360.
The repair limit.
Are those only for Apple?
What's the repair limit?
Are those only for Apple? The ones that she has in her hand. You put her, get her information. Give me that
That's
charger.
correct. Correct, Patrice.
I'll get her one of those.
Now you get a t-shirt and a charger.
I want to lay my phone on that charger. All right, so get her name down. I gotta send her that type of charger.
So can we let our online class go, or is there anything else we need from them?
Do we got everybody on the sign in? Everybody signed in?
Awesome, you guys. So we're gonna let you all go. If you have any questions at all, I'm gonna put 2 emails in the chat. Okay, so you can reach out to us if you have any questions, okay?
Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna change the number by her one. And Earl, let me know when you get